Yo, this is straight up for all them niggas out there who fronted on some bullshit in the beginning. Fuck that.
Hey, guys, welcome back. All right, to another episode 21, the week of May 21st, 2017, Intelligent Idea Talkers Podcast Radio. We didn't agree on the radio part? Oh, okay. All right, well, I'm your host,
Can it be
D.
a podcast and radio? I guess so, actually.
I'm your host, D.
This is Juice.
Your boy Jay.
Yo, back for another episode, man. It's been a couple weeks, fellas. We didn't have a cast in a couple weeks here. What was it, about 3 weeks ago now?
Yeah,
2 or 3?
man. Well, how y'all been?
Yep.
Sipping on mimosas.
Sipping a couple mimosas.
Yeah,
here
man.
with the fellas.
Moving on up.
Yeah, you know. What do you call this joint?
Yeah, it's a little OJ, a little mimosa up in the cup.
Staying classy.
Yeah, man.
Tastes good though. Mimosas and coffee. What more can you ask for? You know. Definitely got a couple articles to talk about. Anything you guys got to say before we jump into the articles? We're going to lead in with.
Hold on to your butts.
Yeah, hold on to your boots. Tighten your bootstraps, all right? Because we about to take off. All right. So I guess we're going to lead off with this article found by my co-host Juice. Juce, talking about Axe and their new campaign for male masculinity. Titled what? Is it okay? Quote, is it okay? ... Definitely geared towards men. And asking, it's like I said, it's a marketing campaign. And obviously the goal of it for any corporation, capitalist corporation, is to sell more Axe. They don't really... But I do agree with this campaign because it makes you think, you know. And they ask basic questions. Is it okay? Is it okay for guys to wear pink? Is it okay for guys to be depressed?
Or feel scared?
I thought it was brilliant, you know, as far as the marketing ad goes, you know.
It starts off with this statistic saying that 70% of guys have been told how a real man should behave. It's really interesting because you imagine that, of course, it's like part of our culture. Like, oh, a guy doesn't do this. A guy does this. A guy holds the door open, right? A guy
pays for dinner.
Doesn't paint his nails, right?
Yeah. A guy doesn't wear rompers. Stuff like that. So,
yeah, exactly.
That can't be your thing. Rompers cannot be a thing. I'm sorry, it just can't.
72%.
That's actually kind of a low number in my imagination. Like, I would imagine probably 90% of guys, and maybe it's not exactly. Maybe it's not exactly. Oh, maybe your dad or some father figure came up and said, "Hey, this is how a man does, and this is how a man doesn't do." But it's probably something like instilled in our society. It comes through your television sets. It comes through your definitely come through your comic books, right? If you read comic books, or it'll come
TV
through
shows,
your
movies,
your music, right? Other forms of media, which is I would say is the main way we absorb most of our conformity to our society, right? How we adjust to our world, we came through our media, and it's been pretty consistent over the last 50 plus years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think with this article, or not even this article, but this Axe commercial, because it's based around a commercial. What this Axe commercial is getting at is that these particular assumptions we've had for men have been challenged over the years, have always been challenged, right? They've been challenged in the mainstream, and they've always been challenged in the fringes of society. And I feel like that's what this article is really getting at.
The article itself is getting at that, but like I said, I think that the company Axe. Let me just, I'm just going to read this part in the article real quick. It's from Rick Struble, the vice president of Axe. He said in an interview, over the past year and a half, the community really embraced this message. But we knew we had to do more. We looked to uncover challenges and pressures young guys face today, so we partnered up with nonprofit organization Promundo to do some research into this topic. We knew that young guys are struggling with their own masculinity, but their research in the, quote, man box gave us a good picture of how these rigid expectations of manhood manifest today. We want to challenge narrow definitions of manhood to help guys live more freely. Some of the stuff in that quote I agree with, but It's all bullshit. They are focused on selling acts. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
they are
of
focused
course.
on selling more of their product. They don't care about helping guys live more freely.
I feel like
But
the
that's
best
a good-
way.
that's
That part
a good
gets on my
message,
nerves.
though.
It does.
It is a good message. I feel like the best
Which is
way
why
to
it's
sell a
brilliant.
product is to have a good message. I think a lot of people overlook that. If you have a message that's actually universal, then people will associate this universal mentality, this universal understanding of helpfulness in your life to maybe this product, right? Or maybe as you spray some Axe up on your armpits, you'd be like, you know what? I can wear pink.
I am a man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can wear pink today,
Wait.
like Cameron.
After
back in
after this ad, though, would you be more inclined to buying Axe?
I think I probably
I
would.
would, yeah.
Because this is brilliant. It's a brilliant campaign because it does make people think, and it asks fundamental questions that we do ask ourselves. Is it okay for a guy to wear pink?
It acts.
I saw a guy
questions.
the other day who had on a shirt. I saw a guy who had on a shirt the other day, and the question of is it okay to wear pink? He had on a pink shirt. On the front of the shirt, it said, "I got this. Okay, I got this from your girl," or something like that, and that was awesome. I was like, "Okay." The quote made it cool.
But he had to
That was
justify
cool.
it wearing pink, though.
Yeah, but he had it on, and it was cool. I was like, "Okay, it's okay. I got this from your girl."
It's pretty damn good.
Yeah,
though.
right. I said, okay.
That's it. That's really
I
good.
said, "All right, that's cool." And but yeah, I thought it was a brilliant ad, man.
So a couple of questions that hit me like personally, right? So think about, is it okay to be skinny? Like that was one of the things that
Yes,
I grew
it
up when
is.
I was younger, right? And you always worry like, man, am I too skinny?
Speaking
like,
as a skinny guy, yes,
exactly. You know, and then
But then
also
ask the other question: is it okay to be fat? And you would think off the top, no, right? Because maybe it's unhealthy. But what's unhealthy about being fat versus being skinny? What's unhealthy about?
it depends, right?
Yeah, it depends.
It does depend. It also depends on like how, your lifestyle, your metabolism. It doesn't like it depends on so many variant factors. You can't just say any one particular is not okay.
Mhm.
You shouldn't feel like you're not a man because of this, right? Like one of them was it's okay to like sports.
To not like sports.
To not like sports. I particularly, and this may be a surprise to first time listeners, but you probably heard me comment throughout this time this cast has been around, but I'm not a big fan of sports. Like, I know, man. I'm sorry. Hold on. Like I said, hold on to your butts. Look, I'm not a big fan of sports for whatever reasons, right? But a lot of people consider that as a particularly masculine male, I don't know if it's male bonding or male experience, right?
Because I definitely watched the NBA playoffs last night. The Spurs lost to the Golden State Warriors, and I will be watching tonight when LeBron and the Cavs play the Boston Celtics. But
I don't know what you're
I think
talking
it's
about.
okay too. Why would you not?
I know, too.
I don't know what that sentence means.
Why is
I
it
know
not
two of those
manly?
things.
Why is it not manly to not like sports? That has nothing to do with your inference into manhood. I think manhood is more of a state of mind, right? Like, taking care of your business, being mature, providing. There are other
Those
things
would be
that we
positive
equate
qualities.
to manhood, other than if you like sports. What is sports?
It's literally games people play.
Literally.
Seriously.
Literally, it's a game. but there's money in it, and it is equated with masculinity.
Entertainment.
Is it okay for? Well, I mean, movies are entertainment.
Yeah.
Entertainment comes in many different forms. Video games are entertainment. Is it okay to experiment with other guys? Now, me as a heterosexual man, I would probably say no. But does it make a man any less masculine to experiment with a guy when he's 16, 17, 28, 29, whatever, and then decide he doesn't like it? Does that make him any less of a man?
That's a good point. That's a
fundamental
good question, right? It's like, so the fact that you are interested in men, does that not give you the qualities of a man, right?
You are still a man, though.
Because based on the old structure we have, our old ideology structure, like men like women, and women like men. And then if you try to mix it up, like, oh, well, men like men, well, then, of course, this guy's not a man.
So that's interesting to me because, like, back in the Roman days, there was homosexual activities all the time, and that was
Sure.
okay. And also, even, like, when we were younger, when we were in, like, junior elementary school and stuff, we're like, oh, man, girls have cooties. Oh, man, don't you want to hang out with girls? If anything, I think it's almost, like, more masculine if you think, like, you know what I'm saying? It's almost, like, hyper masculine at that point. It's like, yo, man, I'm
So you such a
masculine.
man, you trying
To get with
Hey,
another
son.
dude, you know what I'm saying, right? So, but I mean, like, look, like,
But all in all, it's all down to what you're into.
It's
It's like I'm so manly.
It's a weird topic. That's why I said this is a brilliant campaign because it can actually make you think and ask questions that I think society does
If you
struggle
think
with
of
every
some of
day.
some of the gladiators back in the day, I bet you they probably like experimented or like I'm sure it was
You ever
fun.
seen Spartacus?
I don't
Yeah,
think
you know what I'm saying?
like sexuality
That one
wasn't.
that dude was bad as shit, but he was definitely had a boyfriend.
But I know you ain't gonna say shit to him though. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I ain't saying shit.
Hell
I didn't.
no.
Sexuality, like there are gay
Stab
football
me through the
players in the NFL. You know, like dudes is big as hell,
Right.
muscular, strong, and they're gay. That doesn't. I don't think that has anything to do.
Bodybuilders, fighters,
Yeah,
MMA
man.
people.
It's weird, but does it? If you
It's
the
interesting
guy
how,
comes
how we
in, he's-
relate that to like manhood,
Mhm.
though. You know what I'm saying? Sexuality and like even the way we dress and stuff.
They go into the topic of later on in the article. The topic of fragile masculinity is fresh on the mind of many folks just days after the controversial Romp Him, a Romper for Men Kickstarter campaign went viral. Come on, man, rompers.
All right, can somebody
Is that
please
real?
update me with that? Does anybody
When you see
know
the
about
pictures.
this romper campaign? Like, where did this start?
I don't know. I just saw a video. It
I
was
thought-
on World Star. I saw
I thought it was a fashion thing. I mean, I was like, all right, well, I mean, it is what it is.
it's almost like a man purse, right? Do people really buy those?
The Merce.
Maybe
a
they're
satchel.
Maybe there's
Yeah,
a
right,
segment of
satchel.
society that we just don't know about, like the upper echelon. You know, when you don't.
But they do
you
have
to-
satchels though for
Then they
guys.
do, right? But I've never seen anybody
It's like
wear
a
one.
smaller
but they
messenger
have that.
bag.
I definitely saw a picture of Macaulay Culkin recently, and he was definitely carrying a Merce.
There's a segment we just don't know about.
He had the man
You know.
purse, yeah.
So
Shout out to Richard Chiga with this, you know.
Yeah,
pack.
Oh,
the,
yeah,
hip pack.
it's now-
The fanny
okay,
pack
is a fanny
will
pack-
never die.
is a fanny pack? Are you any less of a man if you wear a fanny pack?
Dude,
as opposed
you're
to
the
like-
most manliest of men if you can wear a fanny pack.
You
Oh,
OG.
a fanny pack is masculine as hell. I don't care what anybody says.
Like, every OG had a fanny pack. Son. You ain't fucking with...
When I think
You
of-
don't know what's in that fanny pack.
He could be carrying, yo. You know what
You
I'm
got a
saying?
piece in that, Joe?
You
You
don't
got a
know.
blade and a
Straight up
sword.
in the
Like,
fanny
no-
pack.
No fucking wrong
But like
with
no,
fanny
like with
packs.
rompers, I just think of like painters, jumpers, like the one suits. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Or
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's true.
like you know, I mean, I guess if you like it, the fashion, I'm whatever, man.
I guess we could think of... So, you're saying we could think of rompers as short sleeve shorts, jumpsuits for
Pretty much.
painting.
I mean, that's just the way I looked at it. I was like, okay, cool. I mean,
I ain't rocking that shit though.
I ain't rocking that,
No.
but that's because I don't know if I can though, because I have a long torso. So I mean, it's proportion, yeah, proportion. I need to look good though. Just
I would
saying.
never wear a romper, man. Like, come on. Maybe like some underwear. That's what they look like. They look like the the onesie you put on your kids. You know, it's like a
yeah.
onesie with shorts. You know?
Jump on that
But
shit
if
mandatory.
Romp him, whatever, if you guys want to sponsor, though, I'll rock the shit out of your stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all send me some slippers or something. I might
If they sponsor,
Send me a
though,
romp him cat.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
hit it on Instagram. All right,
Whatever,
I got you.
Jay. I
I got you guys. I got
You
you.
would never
guys.
wear that thing.
I'd rock it.
Does it come
No
in
way.
denim?
Hit him with the camo.
It probably does. Oh man, yeah. But yeah, I thought that was a brilliant campaign, man. I thought it was it really, when I read the article when Juice first sent it to the group chat, I was like, all right, let me read this thing. I didn't really know I was going to get to the end of this article and actually, engage and think and say, damn, that actually made me think.
Yeah.
As a commercial to
Good
sell
job,
me
Axe.
something, it actually made me think.
Good job, Axe.
Which
So,
was a good
what
job.
we were talking
Yeah,
about
give him
earlier,
credit for that.
it was like, would you wear? Would you be more inclined to use a product that has a overarching positive message like this?
I think I would.
So, I wouldn't. I just don't like Axe the way it smells and whatnot. I prefer like other brands, but I do have more respect for them in that they
So you like put in a gift basket or something?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, if I had like a nephew who was into that, I'd be like, all right, I'd be more inclined to buy
I
it.
think I got a
Do
couple
men
cans of
make
Axe at
gift
home. Right?
baskets?
Why
You
not?
can. Yeah, why not? You
Yeah.
put
Why
like
not?
some mass. If you put
Yeah.
some manly stuff
Thanks,
in there,
Axe.
or some baseball cards and some Axe in there.
You know what I'm saying?
Drop a fanny pack or something.
Yeah, put
Put
a
a
fanny
fanny
pack
pack
in
in
that.
A fanny pack and some scented candles.
I
All right,
bet
there
you
you
I'm gonna
go.
walk in with an
That's
intelligent
good, man.
idea talker's fanny pack one of these days, man.
Hey,
That joint will be hard, right? That's an
as
excellent.
soon as we
marketing
get our
campaign
store up
for
and
us.
running, first product.
Yeah, the online store.
IIY fanny
Fanny
pack.
packs.
Oh.
Hey, we sell out.
Mhm.
Yeah, man. Well, I guess that's article number 1. brilliant by Axe. I would definitely be inclined to buy more Axe, based off this campaign. But in the end, I don't want to give them too much credit. They're still a capitalist corporation who grossly overcharges us for a product that, they are hoarding millions and millions of dollars.
In effect, it's a bottle of scented air.
It's basically, and, why do I got to pay $5 for this bottle? It probably costs them $1.20 to bottle, total. That's including the can, the production of it. How much did they pay the worker? I wish I had a can of Axe right now. Like, where's Axe made? Is that a U.S.-based company?
If you know,
I don't know.
Drop it in the comment. Let us know.
So, next article y'all want to jump into, man? Was
Charlottesville?
Yeah, so it happened last week on Saturday. The name, I'm getting this from the Huffington Post. The name of this article is Torch-Carrying White Nationalists Protest Removal of Confederate Statue. On Saturday, on May, I think it was 13th, a group of white nationalists gathered out in Charlottesville, Virginia. They were carrying torches and they were marching in the streets, in the neighborhoods. They were chanting phrases like, "You will not replace us," and "Russia is our friend," and all white lives matter. And also the Nazi slogan, "Blood and soil."
We don't need equality.
Yeah. And what was the guy's name? Spencer or some white nationalist a-hole. So he was out there as well. He's pretty much become the face of what we call the alt-right movement. You don't even need to say his name. Monkey ass. So he's out there giving speeches and talking shit, talking about we don't believe in equality. And all in all, the biggest issue with this that I've taken is that it's 2017, y'all. It's 2017, and we still got people out here trying to torch or march in the streets carrying torches, trying to instill fear in people of color. And honestly, it's egregious. Like, this is a disgusting act. Like,
see, this, like,
what would motivate
2017
somebody?
Definitely, but at the same time, this is Charlottesville. This is like an hour and a half from
It's not
us.
far.
From the DC area. Like, that's crazy. That's scary.
I've been to Charlottesville.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm not going to say it's the most diverse place, but it is the
2017.
university, the VCU is right over there. And the university is it's part of the town. It's a university town. And because of that, there are all races and all ethnicities of people in that area. And to have them gather this area to protest, what was it? They were protesting the removal of the Robert E. Lee Memorial statue or something. Yeah. But to do it, like, if you want to protest something like that, then protest the way people protested Women's March, protest in the way people protested climate change, protest, like, march.
Come on, UVA.
I'm always trying to take the other side of the fence. I don't know. I don't have a problem with them not wanting the statue of General Lee coming down. I mean, historically, he's a historical figure in the history of the United States and the state of Virginia, And if they didn't want that statue taken down, I'm okay with them, protesting, at least them protesting, maybe not in the way they did it with the torches and all that. I mean, of course, I'm a black man, so I don't support any kind of white nationalist agenda. But, at the same time, this is America, and they have a right to do it the way they want to do it, right? What's less racist about them protesting in the way they did it than us having a protest and chanting Black Lives Matter? I mean, besides the fact
if you're equating the Black Lives Matter the same as all white lives matter, then that's not equivalent.
It's like sometimes I think us as people, we get a little more sensitive towards especially racial subjects when somebody has a different opinion than us. So, like, if we would all join a march that says Black Lives Matter or a women's equality march, but we wouldn't join a white nationalist march. But does that make them evil for having that march? I mean, it's a viewpoint that they support, and this is America, and they have that right to do that.
So with the whole historical aspect, like,
although I think they're assholes, they're carrying torches and all that stuff. What does that reference to?
So with General Lee, like, he was historical person, and like that's why they obviously have a statue of him. But I mean, couldn't we say the same about like Saddam Hussein, his statue in the Middle East, or even like shrines or whatever of Adolf Hitler? But then after like World War II, like they took all his memorabilia, they all like banned it, they took it down and everything else. Like after the Civil War kind of thing, like a lot of people were obviously impacted negatively. Like why not remove it? We can learn about history and learn about all these things that have happened in other ways, such as I don't know, textbooks through your class. But I mean, do we really need a reminder though? That's just. I mean, I don't know if I need to.
So here's the thing: some people do not. Some people do not agree that the South lost. Like there is a contingent of Confederate people who in the South who will argue to the death that the South never lost and that the Confederacy won. Those people are out there.
I watched Gladiator recently, and they were talking about they were invading some Mongol horde at the very beginning of the movie, and the guy says, a people should know when they're conquered. And the dude who played Gladiator looked at him and said, "Would you know when you're conquered? Would I?" So that kind of goes with what you're saying about the Confederacy. Like they never gave up the fight. They just they might have lost the battle, but they didn't lose the war. Maybe they have like a long-term plan where they want this thing to come back. But
I'd argue they lost both.
What's less racist about them having a statue of Robert E. Lee than us having a memorial to Martin Luther King? We all know what Martin Luther King stood for: civil rights, black empowerment. And Robert E. Lee stood for whatever he stood for.
He stood for enslavement. He stood for using black people as property. He stood for running your economy based upon the uses of slaves every day.
Run from that fact, though. That is a historical.
That is a
historical fact. We're close to Washington D.C. right now. Washington. George Washington, the city that the person that this city is named after was a slave owning person. He hunted slaves. So, but we still go to his city every day. We're going to change the name of Washington D.C. Where's the protest for that? I mean, we drive on Jefferson.
I'm not 100% sure on the history, but I don't think that he seceded from the United States.
We drive on Jefferson Davis Highway.
I don't think George Washington seceded from the United States.
The real name of Route 1, at least through Virginia,
because he was the president of the United States.
He was the president of the Confederate States of America. We drive on that road every day. Where's the protest to change the name of that road?
Maybe it should be happening.
There are people that
your argument is that because things have been bad in the past, we should continue to keep them that way because they've been there so long. I can't back up that.
This is the same argument we had a couple weeks ago about when we're saying, do you want to forget your history? Do you want to take something down and forget it? We can't choose to honor one thing and then forget something else. It's all part of the same history.
It's not about forgetting, but it's about celebrating.
If you're going to honor...
Forgetting and celebrating are different things.
What are we talking about, right? Remember a couple weeks ago we were saying like, man, what are we talking about? It was something that they wanted down, and I was like, nah, we shouldn't
we don't have to
honor
forget.
this part, not honor that part.
I mean, honoring and forgetting and like remembering.
In the civil rights struggle, in the civil rights struggle, right? Like, you'd have pictures of people getting attacked by police dogs and all that, right? I think that's one point I was saying. And you have
the slaves with the students, right?
That's an honorable picture, right? Look at how these people are standing up against this oppression. They're getting attacked, and we're honoring that picture, that image of what happened then.
Bravery,
but we will vilify something else that happened. In the same,
we would vilify the police officers striking. We would vilify the police officers striking the unarmed woman.
I see what you're saying. No, I see what you're saying now.
I mean,
I'm sorry. Explain this
to them. That is part of their history. That statue is part of their
struggle.
History and their struggle as a people in this part of the country. So, I don't have a problem with them protesting the removal of that statue. That's all I'm saying.
Like, me neither.
The reason why they're standing up and it's a part of this article that says Russia is our friend. I don't think these people have any idea about what the international relations between the U.S. and Russia and what is really at stake between these countries. I don't. And I don't think they do.
They don't care, right? They don't care because they know Russia is not for brown people. They know Trump is not for brown people. And they'll know for a fact they're not for brown people. That's all they really give a fuck about.
They said something
like they're not really caring about the political ramifications of what they're saying.
We buy products and we support people who are not for brown people every day of the week. When you buy something from the Axe company or something, like, was that a Dutch company? How do we know the owner of that company is not racist? But we'll still go buy Axe. They said something like,
are they selling a racist product? Because what was the whole thing about Mercedes or BMWs, right?
Or even like Versace.
Volkswagen.
Volkswagen, Volkswagen, right? Like, started by a Nazi. Like,
Same thing with Adidas and like
yeah,
Nike.
like, so the history of a lot of these things may
Same
have
haircut.
racist ties, but it's different than celebrate. But these, like, Volkswagen is not celebrating Nazis, right? But
They kind
these
of are.
people,
They're
they're not.
Still,
No, they're not.
The company
No.
was started by Nazis, and they are still. They're not. They're
Define
not forgetting
celebrate.
about their history.
Can we define celebrate?
Well, honoring. They're not gonna. They'll tell you that this company was founded in 1927.
So I have a pair.
but
I
that's
have a
during
pair
the
of
time
shell
Nazism.
toe Adidas in my bedroom right now, and I guarantee for a fact that they are not. Those shell toe Adidas are not at all celebrating anything
Shell toes
Nazi.
is tight though. I used
Right.
to have a black pair of shell toes. They go with
If
everything.
anything,
They go with
they're
shorts,
celebrating
jeans.
the b-boy era of the '80s, right? Like, if anything, that's what
Maybe
they're
that's when
celebrating.
it came into black culture and our culture, but
but
them
that's
celebrating it.
but
goes
that is
back
different.
to their foundation, which was during
But-
Nazism in Europe.
No, but that is different than than saying that Robert E. Lee, the representative of the Confederate States, which seceded from the United States to fight against the rest of the country in order to own their slaves and have their economy based upon the use of slave labor. That's
Wow,
that.
wow.
And as long as you have a statue, there's no statue of an Adidas, or there's no statue of the man who made Adidas, right?
Go
There's no
outside,
statue
go
of that.
outside the Adidas Corporation.
There's no
the
statue of
headquarters.
that.
I'm guaranteed there's a statue or a monument to.
But it's not in the
whoever
middle of
started
somebody's city. It's not in the middle of our neighborhood. It's not in the middle of anybody's.
Going back to the Civil War.
My point is that because there's no statue, that we're not celebrating this person, right? We're not celebrating this person's views. We're using a product. Robert E. Lee, his product was the consistent use of slavery for basing their economy.
Robert E.
That
Lee-
was his product,
Robert E. Lee was a
and he
general
was
in the
defeated
Confederate
in
Army.
war, and he
His
was defeated
government
in
told
battle.
him, "Hey, you are going to command our troops and go and fight the Union Army." Right? He's a soldier. He has to follow
Wait,
orders,
what?
regardless of what his
Who?
racial views were. If his commanders told him, "Hey, you're going to go fight this army for us," you're a general in the army.
His
At that
commanders
point, you're
should
a
have been in
soldier.
Washington,
So, we
who
have
they
to
were
separate
fighting
them.
against. Those are his commanders.
Going back to the Civil War, right? And I was listening to a podcast earlier in the week. I really promote this guy. His name is The Real Macabre on YouTube. Awesome dude, man. He was saying like the start of the Civil War. Why the Civil War was really fought. There was no. Do you know why it's the Emancipation Proclamation? He didn't free the slaves. He emancipated us.
Mm-hmm.
Said, okay, you guys don't have to be in servitude anymore. But if you're going to stay in America, you can go. But if you're going to stay in America, you have to follow by these rules. Here comes Jim Crow laws.
Right.
Here comes the Civil Rights struggle.
Agreed.
We didn't. Why do Black Americans celebrate Independence Day on the 4th of July? We weren't free in 1776.
I
on
agree.
July 4th. So why do we celebrate that? The start of the Civil War had nothing to do with slavery. It was about finances. The North was broke.
I would
had a lot of
argue-
agriculture.
I
and
would
a lot
argue
of-
that they were broke.
yeah, I mean,
Because
but that's why
They weren't allowed to use slave labor.
there
It's
you go.
hard to pick your fields
There you
when
go.
you don't have slaves doing it
They
for you
didn't have a
for
lot of fields.
free.
They had manufacturing in the North. They had production.
Right.
And obviously, if you have free labor over paid wage labor, then that's what's going to take the cake. You know what I mean? But would there be such a problem if who was the Ulysses Grant? That was the general of the Union. Would it be such a problem? Where's the march to take down the Ulysses Grant statue? We're not worried about that. You know what I mean?
because
Like,
they won the war.
but so the victor writes history, but that doesn't change history. The reason that Ulysses S. Grant was fighting against the Confederacy was not to end slavery or nothing like that. He probably had the same views
Not
as
to
Robert E. Lee.
end slavery, but to change their economy, right?
Why is it okay to
Change the rules in the country. So generally, the country has to conform to a certain number of federal laws, right?
The only reason they wanted to end slavery was because they couldn't compete with the South as far as production and being able to sell their raw materials overseas. And they had to bring the South back into union with the North to continue, the United States of America. Or I think the United States of America came after that, foreign to the. And I'm not saying I buy into everything this guy says.
No, because that
Really
sounds like a
interesting
lot
guy.
of BS.
They
I
formed
don't
the
know.
United before it was the United States for America. After I think it was something of 1871, they formed the United States of America, all caps, which is legalese for the Corporation of America. Legalese is a whole different. When you look at the words and the way they word something, and you look at your driver's license, all capital letters. You look at. I mean, this is taking us off the topic of Robert E. Lee, but I think it goes deeper than just this surface level of, we should not like this thing because, I mean, they have a right to protest. Right?
They do have a right.
Why is it
that's
okay?
not at all what I'm arguing. I'm not at all arguing that they shouldn't
okay for them to
protest.
have a statue of Martin Luther King?
I'm not saying they should have been broken up.
Now, what if the same group?
But he was a brave man who fought for equality.
What if the same group, right, went up to D.C. and had a protest to take down Martin Luther King statue? They didn't support civil rights. They didn't like it. Why do I have to walk past this statue every single day when I didn't support this man or what he believed in? Same thing for Robert.
You know what? You know what would happen if they? They can do that, and that's not all. I'm not at all arguing that they shouldn't be able to protest what they don't like. I already said before, like if they want to protest, then protest, but don't light torches and don't try to instill fear and don't yell racist things at people.
Yeah,
but if they wanted to,
fear,
if they wanted to protest the Martin Luther King statue, fine. And you know what would happen? They would be looked at and ridiculed like the buffoons that they are. That's all that would happen, right? That's all that would happen. But they could do it. They could do it every day.
Possibly.
But they would be looked at and they would be treated with the contempt that they deserve.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a touchy subject. Race always is,
I just want to say that this really reminds me of the people who are protesting. The quote that I always love: "When you are accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression." And really, it's just like, the whole Black Lives Matter thing is not saying that only Black Lives Matter. It's Black Lives Matter, too. You know what I'm saying?
Or as much as, right?
Right, as much as, right.
But when you're looking at the words,
it says Black Lives Matter because it's a slogan.
If somebody didn't agree with that as being a white person, is that their fault?
Opinion.
Can you blame that? Can you blame them for that?
That's their opinion. That's fine. You don't have to believe that Black Lives Matter as much as anybody else.
Then it goes back to the whole, like, even using the word,
own what you are, and accept that you'll be treated
for, like,
with
equal
the
rights. We're fighting for civil rights.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, again, like, it's not like they're losing more rights. It's not like, they're losing any privilege.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like some of us, we just want to feel like a little bit more equal. We want to have a little bit, more freedom.
Like, somebody put, I forgot the guy's name, but he made a video recently, and he put it this way as far as like what it's like being a black person in the country. It's like, yes, we have the same abilities, right? We can do the same things, like hypothetically. We can do all of the things. We have the freedom to do all the same things everybody else does. But it's like playing a video game and white people are playing it on the easiest level. That's, yes, you encounter bad guys. You encounter obstacles. You encounter challenges. But you get better perks. You encounter less bad guys. You encounter less obstacles. You get more hints, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas the black person's playing in a hard level. Like, yeah, you're going through the same stages, sure. But there's going to be more bad guys you got to fight. You're not getting the hints, right? You're not getting the perks. You're not getting the extra one-up life. You're not getting any of that stuff, right?
I get behind that. There's a part in the article.
And all everybody's saying is, that's Black Lives Matter is arguing that everybody gets it either on easy or everybody gets it on medium. Like, nobody's saying, yeah, that's what we're saying.
This reminds me of an article that I read just recently about a white student. Her name is Jenny Lunt, and she went around campus wielding basically a sword. And just to prove a point, saying that, when she walked around with this weapon, like, people thought it was funny, people laughed at her, like, why are you carrying around this sword, kind of thing. But she wanted to prove that this was white privilege. Yeah. Had it been anyone else, like, the cops would have been called.
That one black cosplayer from, like, 2 years ago.
Right.
He was a black kid. He was walking out of his house going to a cosplay. Cops ran up on him. He was carrying a fake Mugen sword from Samurai Champloo, and they shot him.
She even talked about how another person, a black guy, was just carrying around a glue gun, and he was just like harassed by the police. But to prove a point that white privilege is real, and this is what white privilege looks like, quote unquote, Jenny, she walked around campus literally like with the sword, and again, no police were called, nothing would happen. And she was saying, like, look, like, she's able to do this because she's white. But, a person of color, if they were to do anything similar, or even just, not even a real weapon, again, like a cosplay weapon, a cosplay sword, like, they'd be accosted. They'd be, like, taken down or shot.
Yeah.
So again, like we're not, like white people, they're not losing any more privilege. They're not losing anything really.
Mhm.
It's just we're afforded the same opportunities that they are.
Yeah, I mean, minorities, definitely black people, definitely born with an economic advantage that a lot of other, maybe races don't have. And, I saw something interesting earlier in the week saying that, during the civil rights struggle, how, a lot of other communities will keep their money within their community. So you'll have hire more Asians and buy from Asians and keep their money in the Asian community. And you'll have the same thing for white people. Spend their money in the white community, hire more white people. Same thing for whoever else. But black Americans, we don't have that same economic advantage. Like during integration, it took the black dollar, instead of not being allowed to go into a white store to spend your money, you had to go into a black store. You had to support black. And when integration happened, it took that money out of the black communities. And so, we can go a couple decades into the future. You can see why maybe a lot more black people are as disenfranchised as they are. But it all has to do with history. And today would not be today if tomorrow had not happened. And we can't forget that, And, there's one part in this article, going back to this torch carrying part, I just want to touch on. Might be a nice segue into the Trump thing. One time, Virginia Congressman Tom Perriello.
Spoiler.
He says, as much as we all wish this was an isolated incident, it's not, he said in an email to supporters. Emboldened by President Trump, this racism is spreading in our communities, our Commonwealth, and our country. After Trump's election, many of these racist leaders were given a platform and vindication. They want us to regress by decades. And maybe even before Trump, that's always been the case. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it's not Trump. I think the media and our government does a good job of focusing the public's angst and attention and anger towards one person. When I truly believe that there are people behind the scenes who
institutional,
are
right?
More powerful. Yeah, it's an institutional thing. Somebody compared it to like a restaurant, right? Like if you go into a restaurant, you don't like your burger and fries, they're too cold. You'll actually speak to the cashier, right? Say your cashier is your congressman, a congresswoman, right? The cashier can't help you out, so you ask for the manager. In comes the president of the United States, right? But you'll never meet the franchise owner. As much as you complain, you don't complain to the franchise owner of that restaurant. And that's kind of the way I would see that the country is set up, right? Like, you'll never meet the person who's actually in charge and can actually, those complaints don't go up that high, which I totally support the fact that the president of the United States is a puppet post. There's definitely somebody behind the scenes who's pulling the strings.
Is it really, though?
The guy I was listening to said the Secretary of Treasury actually has more political influence as far as our economy and the way that we interact with other countries, especially on a financial level, banking level, than the president of the United States. Like
so here's the thing,
Secretary of Treasury, finances.
I hear you, and I think like in the past, it may have been more that way in the past. But
also, before I forget, I wanted to talk about that Trump thing only because there's another, like, people say Trump is racist, right? And maybe he is. I don't know Trump personally. Everything that we've seen says that he is, right?
I just think he's dense.
But yeah. Because he wants to build a wall and control immigration, we associate that with the fact that he doesn't like black people. I mean, maybe he said this about black people in the past. Maybe he said that about Spanish people. But, we support racist capitalists every single day of our lives. I don't understand. I think Trump has emboldened them to come out and speak their minds more because, see Trump in the debates, he was talking about people. Oh, you ain't this and you ain't that, but that feeling, that racism was always there. It's not being brought out because of Trump. Trump is not the figurehead of racism in America.
So I'd agree with you, right? So yes, Trump is definitely a figurehead. And a lot of this angst and anxiety gets pushed and pointed at him because he provides a voice. He provides a voice for a group of people who have always been there and have always been on the fringes or have been on the outskirts of our mainstream society because we know that they're intellectually inept, right? Like if you're really basing your political views on racism, you don't have any real foundation for those things other than cherry pick data, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trump represents that, right? And
Why,
because
though?
Because
he
he's given the
represent that?
voice. He's given
So
the
what
voice
makes-
to all those people.
What makes Obama
He
any
didn't
more
win.
effective
He
than
didn't
Trump?
win.
Obama was
He
a
didn't
black
win
president.
the presidency based on numbers. He won the presidency based on a outdated system, right? The electoral college, and as well as the fact that a majority of people were not motivated to go to vote. He won certain states by less margins than Bush lost them.
Which I totally support.
Then Bush lost them in the past, right? Like that's the number of people who didn't go out to vote, and because people didn't go to vote, he won because they were not motivated by the other side. Like if you ask 5 people, 2 of them are going to tell you they didn't even go vote, right? Straight
Which
up.
I totally support. Honestly, maybe call me a conspiracy theorist. I know that everybody wants to talk about Illuminati and all this. I don't know anything about that. Freemasonry and all this other shit. I don't know anything about that. But when you look around at symbolism, and you see the all-seeing eye on the back of our dollar, and you see the same obelisk as the Washington Monument in the Vatican in Rome, and they start making all these crazy theoretical connections. And I mean, what did Barack specifically do to improve the lives of Black Americans? Over what Trump is not going to do. Barack Obama didn't have any more of an influence in the Black community as far as stimulating the economy.
He stimulated the economy for everybody.
The only thing he was a Black
you,
president.
He did better for the economy for everybody, right? So I think Barack
Depends on
Obama
who
has
you
said
ask.
it, and I'm not going to say
depends
he
on
said
who you
this
ask.
poor word. I'm not going to say he said this poor word, but the fact of the matter is he was the president, right? And
It's like we
the
vilify
fact of the
Trump,
matter is
but
he
we
was the president, so he's
put-
not doing anything for particularly one community. He's doing things for the country as a whole.
You could say that, but he is honored as being the first Black president of the United States.
He is the first Black
You know what
president.
kind of
It's not something
voters
he made
turned
up.
out? You know what kind of voters turned out for Barack Obama that didn't turn out for Trump? Because he was a Black president. Then you have to do something, on principle for these disenfranchised communities who are Black, right? You go to Chicago, his hometown.
Who turned out for
Guys
Trump?
are killing each other
Who
all
turned
over
out
the
for
place.
Trump?
Why not try
Uneducated
to
white
start some
people.
kind of- why
Has
not
he
try to-
done anything to help uneducated white people so far?
Why not try
I would
to-
argue he's done the opposite.
Why not try to, if you are being honored as the first Black president of the United States, which we forget that he's just as much white as he is Black. People honor him for being the first Black president, but he had a white mama. So that's just, if you're white, you're Black. If you're Black, you're white for him, okay?
One drop rule.
So for him, he can honor both sides. But I'm saying, why not go into Chicago where you have this murder rate skyrocketing through the roof and try to start some kind of government program to give people jobs and try to stimulate things there, because he answers to, it's a puppet post. He can't do what he wants to do. You know what I mean? You can pass laws for gay and lesbians.
The House and the Senate blocking people.
He can't make rules for states, right?
Also, in general, if
He
you look
makes
at America's
federal
voting record, we're horrible.
you
so
can't
bad.
make rules for states, but you can put pressure on these states
Yeah,
to
you
change to change laws and
But
to
here's
do
going
things.
back to the reason why
The federal
the
government can step in.
president can't do everything he wants. Why? Well, yes,
But wait,
it is a public.
according to you, according
Go
to
back.
most of America, Trump can. Trump can do whatever he wants. Trump's
But
going to
listen,
do this and Trump's
let me
going to do
finish.
that. Why can't
Let me finish.
Barack Obama do it?
I'm about to explain to you. So let me finish. So what I'm saying is, no, the Trump president can't do everything. As we see, Trump has had 2 bans blocked so far, and the new Trump healthcare bill got pushed back. But the fact is, for the last 20 years, since Bush, they have been consolidating power from the other judicial branches.
Mm-hmm.
You remember how we distribute the power? They've been consolidating these powers to a single figure, which is the executive branch, which is the president's role. That's why they have the ability to make so many executive orders. In the past, they couldn't do executive orders like this.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a thing. The fact that they're consolidating power, and also the fact that we're able to, now that the president is able to launch rockets and go to war without having to consult Congress, is a whole nother situation where the power has been consolidated, right? So maybe it's not, he can go to state and make them raise the minimum wage. Maybe he can't do that, right? But he does have enough power to make substantial changes in the world by the the press of a button, the flick of a switch. He can do these things, and there's nobody to stop him. Like, that's why, yes, he does have actual physical ability. He has ability to change the world
So
as
did
we
Barack.
see it. Yes, he did. And he contributed toward the consolidation of the powers, right? The whole NSA, the whole
I'm just
government
saying,
spying
Trump is
thing.
not
the
any
whole,
more evil than
the
Bush
whole
or
situation
Barack.
why
They serve the same people.
the internet or
Corporation.
the
it's the
ISP
same thing.
situation. Like, all this shit is related.
I think that Trump won just.
It's
based
not
on
just a
fluke.
figurehead.
I believe that there was other people that they wanted. The
Mhm.
Republicans, obviously, he just happened to finagle his way in. But again, like
You don't think they wanted Jeb Bush? They would have loved Jeb
I think
Bush.
it's a ratings bonanza. Like, these companies are controlled. I mean, a lot of these corporations own the media, and they
I was gonna say
want
also
ratings,
it's
they're
also
gonna put
name.
Trump there.
Also, his name.
Mhm.
Like for
People
example,
knew his name
the
already.
reason Clinton got like where she was is because name. Like not necessarily because of her like platform. It's name. Trump is huge internationally.
Mhm.
Like just based on his name. Like people know who he is. So again, I think it's unfortunate that we are like, celebrity driven in the United States. That's why Kim Kardashian
definitely
has
are.
such
That's
a
our
huge
royalty.
like rating compared to
Celebrities
like,
are royalty.
yeah.
That's how
But
the
so as
country
a result, that's probably why my opinion. That's probably why Trump got to where he is.
I don't know, man.
Well,
It's-
yeah, he couldn't have ran if he didn't have this kind of money or the name to do so, right? Like, that wouldn't have
Finances-
happened. And then people
finances
kept
control
giving him
everything.
passes for doing egregious, silly things because, he's not an actual politician. So people are constantly making excuses for him on his way. Like, that's the only reason he made it so far. He didn't win on numbers, right? He won on technicalities. He didn't win on knowing what he's talking about. He thought Kim Jong-il and his father and grandfather were the same person that he mentioned in an interview the other week.
That's fine.
Like,
You
he
can't-
thought
listen.
3 dictators of North Korea were the same person.
And my guy, the Black Macabre, thought
He's silly.
was
He's
mentioning this in his podcast, so I'm not going to try to claim credit for this quote, right? And he was saying that, the whole voting process, you can't walk into the board of directors for McDonald's or any corporation and try to vote on who's going to be on that board, right? So think about America in the same way. They're not going to let you pick just whoever you want to come in and run the country. You don't own it. We don't own anything. We don't own the banks. We don't own. So I'm talking about the general population, not black or white or anything. You know what I mean? Everybody. We don't own these things, right? So that's why you're given a specific number of candidates to pick from. Okay, well, you pick from these guys. These are who y'all can pick from. If we were really
know where they
involved,
started,
we'd be
though?
involved from the process. Once Trump got elected, we'd be involved in the election process from right now. Not worrying about it in 2019. We'd worry about it right now.
So why aren't
who are
we?
these? There you go. Because we don't actually pick this guy. It's a puppet post. All right.
No, he is picked.
Listen.
Trump didn't make it as far on GP.
Do you think Trump?
Well, he did on
do
GP.
you think
but
Trump
they
really
made
would have got
excuses for
elected? Do you really think they would have let him assume the presidency of the United States? He's never held political office, right? So that means there has to be somebody there who knows how to run that office, right? That's advising him, that's over his shoulder, telling him, hey, this is what you need to do, this is what we did last time. You can't just step into a post and just automatically start running things. There's somebody there.
Dude, I would
to tell
argue
you
that
what's
Trump
going on.
hasn't been running things. I would argue
There you
Trump
go.
after
But we blame
time.
Trump.
No, because time after time he's failed and he hasn't known what he was supposed to do.
I think we have to go beyond Trump.
It's not. Well,
I think he's
listen.
the face.
I'm saying
That's why
that
he is the
I'm
face.
saying that you're talking about this conspiracy where there's a system that's colluding, right, to get everybody into this position that they want them to be in. This this international way over
sounds
top
crazy.
Illuminati style chess game.
It sounds crazy.
I personally don't think there's that much cognizance or control going on. I don't think they'll have the ability
wanna
to
control the country-
organize. I think the only people who may have any control are corporations, but at the same time, corporations aren't all on the same footing on what they want. So I don't think there's that much collusion. I don't think there's no overall world organization.
Yeah, but
it
if you look
doesn't
at
make sense to
corporations
me.
and businesses, though, if you look
You're
at
giving them way too much credit.
If you look at the head of all corporations, there's probably about 6 to 8 or even 9 different corporations out there,
Mhm.
but they
that
branch
control
down.
everything.
So I believe they have
A corporation
lot
in
of-
oil, a corporation in corn, a corporation in electronics, they want different things. They're not going to go
They're
into the
all
government and be
under-
like, oh,
What do they call it? This Venn
let's go-
diagram when you have like those two
Yeah.
circles that cut
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
connect.
Venn
And I
diagram.
saw one of those, like you were saying, and they're talking about all these companies, Disney and Viacom, that just own all these companies that you buy, all these products that you buy.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Everything is controlled by these top, like you said, 5 or 6 companies. So there is an agenda out there. We are being steered in a certain direction. You know, when you want to control a company, you control their finances, right? You know, why do you think you have a
But to say that bleeds into the government as cleanly as you're
saying, why do you think you have raised a minimum wage and all this?
I think it does. Well, hold on. I think it doesn't because if you look at, like, say, the NRA, they're one of the biggest, like, organizations out there. Mm-hmm. I heard statistically it's something like 1 in 4 people and 1 in 4 Americans are part of the NRA. That's how big they are. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if the government wants to pass a gun law, they're going to lobby, and chances are they're gonna stop any kind of whatever ban or like legislation that comes out about gun control. Mm-hmm. So again, like these organizations, these corporations, they do have a great influence.
They do. I agree.
So again, like,
but to say that they run,
I mean, Trump. Okay, I'm not.
I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist. So I'm not trying to say this Illuminati and all that.
Of course,
okay, but
with Trump though, okay, it's not like I like
Trump.
Gotta
think about it,
right? But again, I kind of agree. Like, I don't think like he's the sole person to blame because again, I think he's just a face. If he was impeached, for example, I think that the Republicans will still have like a lot of influences for the next person. Mm-hmm. You know, agendas such as Mike Pence. Like, if he was the next president, like, I'm sure there'd be a lot of shady shit that still goes on with the Middle East or with like, I don't know, Planned Parenthood or whatever. Like,
do you think they'll impeach Trump? Do you think he'll ever be impeached?
Do you think, well, here's a better question. Do you think that if we impeach Trump, things are going to get better, or they're going to just be, they probably won't be as extreme, but I assume they're still going to go follow its trend, and like, shit's still going to go downhill.
Like we said before, I think
he's just a face.
I think most people, general population, until things are actually thrown in our face, we're content with just letting things be, you know, going to work, earning money for our family, taking care of ourselves, you know, and living our lives. And a lot of people will be content with that, just to live in peace, you know, earn enough money to live comfortably and
being sheep. It's fine. And like, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's also part of the deal with voters, though.
But because we're the sheep, because we're the shepherds. It's not Trump. It goes bigger than Trump. You know what I mean? We're all sheep. Somebody is hurting us in a certain direction. Okay, well, white versus black, men versus women.
White versus black isn't an overall conspiracy. Like, that's some shit that.
But that works though. That works with corporations. If they can do that, they can navigate. And they can sell things based on that, mm-hmm. right? Like, if they can make money off of like a rally or something, I guarantee someone is making money.
Of course.
I mean, we all agree that corporations are tied in, are involved in our government.
They said something like
we agree on that.
2008 stock market crash, right? I think.
But what are we going to do about it, right? Like, that's the real issue. It's like, so it's okay saying it. I'm pretty sure everybody knows. Like, they did a poll recently. I forgot what university did the poll, but they said that one of the questions was, what's the biggest negative impact on our government? And it was corporations. Like, people know it. It's well known. The question is, what's we about to do about it?
Well, that's where I want to jump in. What are we going to do about it? Nothing, because we're fucking sheep. And I'm not saying that we are sheep, because I feel that us three, we are more active and talk about things.
Is it okay to be a sheep? That's one of them. That's the next ask question.
And that's a great question. That's what I was going to jump in. So, is it okay to be a sheep? Okay. I feel that a lot of Americans, because we're just complacent, because we're just worried about our own lives, paying the bills, and like what's for dinner and stuff, right? We're not too worried about voting. We're not too worried about like the next bill, because you know what? It may or may not affect me. I don't think it probably will. Well, I already have 2 kids, or you know, like whatever. Mm-hmm. I already had a vasectomy or whatever, so I don't care about Planned Parenthood. It doesn't really affect me.
Or I got to go to work tomorrow.
Right, you have to go to work tomorrow. So
I don't feel like doing this.
I can't get a day off, or I can't whatever. So I can't go to the next rally or march. So a lot of people are just complacent, and as a result, they're not going to be as much action. So again, even like with the most recent election, like with the whole Clinton and Trump thing, like Americans were known to be poor voters, like
in
voter
most
outcomes.
Other countries,
yeah. So now we have 2 like children bickering about like the presidency. Now we had anti-vote. We had people who didn't vote just because that was their vote. That was their voice. Mm-hmm. So again, like when new things come out, they're like, you know what? Fuck it, man. It doesn't really bother me, or like I'm so annoyed, I'm just not going to do anything. And when you ask that question, what are we going to do about it? I think the average American isn't going to do anything about it.
So here's the thing. So yes, the average American isn't until and this might just be something my prerogative. But I think that until people understand what's going on, I think a lot of people don't know what's going on. They don't know where to start. I feel like most people do have some general concern.
Wrong, right?
They know something's wrong.
Yeah,
They're not
they
sure
can
exactly
see it.
how to address it, but they know it needs to be addressed. I feel like if they had a way to address it, if they had the information readily available, which was another way, like, so that's a way where corporations can intervene, because they don't like programming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the way things come on television. You have 150 commercials for fucking Axe or whatever, you name it, right?
McDonald's and shit, yeah.
But you won't see a commercial.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
You'll see a commercial once in a while for a politician on YouTube, but you won't see a commercial on TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you won't see a
True.
commercial for, and even still, whether you're going to take that person at face value or you're going to know their history is another situation.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have the history of that politician. You're not going to know what their voting record is. They'll say one thing and have voted for against, I don't know, food for babies. Like,
Try to gain steam to get into
right. They're
political
just trying to get into an office. So he's like, you don't trust this person. How do you get the information? So I feel like the biggest way to do it is to have these people in the forefront, make them as palatable, or not make them as palatable, but make them as accessible as you have access to Kim Kardashian and Beyonce, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give them that same level of attention, because they're running your country and essentially running your life, where your money's going to and what options you're going to have in the future.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not set up like that, then no, people won't know. But I feel like it can be set up like that. So I want to take this minute and remind everybody that on June 13th, the Democratic primary for governor in Virginia is coming up.
Get out there and vote.
Get out and vote. You know what I'm saying? Like, go out there and look. You
know the
have
problem with
two
that
options for the Democratic primary. Hold your problems, and then just go out there and vote and say something. And if I don't know, just try. This is the first step, right? The first step. You got to know who you're voting for. Look at your options. It's Perriello and Northam, right?
And
look at your options.
I bet you most of the general population of Virginia have no idea who the fuck those guys are. We don't know.
Perriello just mentioned he was just commented on the
yeah.
on the whole KKK rally in Charlottesville. That was the governor guy who was
there was a
commenting.
theory thrown around to like where the only way
Or
the
mayor.
average person, the common person, can have a say in this government is we need to form a new political party, right? Like it needs to be a new political party. But then
I take this moment to plug Justice Democrats.
Comes
So
into
Justice Democrats is another organization that's coming in on the sidelines of the Democratic Party. They're primarying your establishment Democrats that are in office now and replacing them with people who are like you and me, who have made oaths already before they're in office, who have made oaths as part of this party to not take money from PACs, to not take money from corporations. They're only taking money from individual donators. People
so
like
who are
us.
these individual donators, though?
Us. People with names. People who are
You
donating.
just said
And they're
politicians say a
limiting.
lot to get into office. They say a lot to get in there, but what's going to happen once you're in there? Are you going to be seduced by the system, or are you going to stand your ground and do what you said you stood for? Time will tell.
How do you know your car is not going to crash on your way home? You don't know that shit. But you know what you do? You hop in that shit and you drive fucking home anyway. You know what you do?
hope,
You do what you
right?
got to do and you hope.
hope.
Right?
Hope has been the downfall of many a person.
It's also been the rise of many a government and many a celebrity and many of a work of art, right? The hope is the one thing that people have to help propel them into the future.
Hope
If you
ain't
don't have
gonna-
hope, ain't shit.
Hope ain't gonna feed your kids. Hope ain't gonna pay your bills. You got to go out.
Hope can
and,
put
and
you on
do
the
it.
path to do those things.
Well, isn't that,
No, it won't.
isn't that
Rise,
Yes, it will.
man.
Well,
You
isn't
have
that
to
the reason
go.
why?
A hope-
I can hope
if
all
you
day.
don't
I
have
hope I can
hope-
go out and look for a job.
Well, I
gotta
said it
go
will
do
put you on a path.
But
It will
isn't
put
that,
you on a
isn't that
path.
why Trump got elected though? Because that's why he created a lot of hope though. If you
Depends on who you ask. So did
if you-
Obama.
depends on
but
who you
Obama
ask.
If you
didn't.
look at the Middle East, the Midwest,
I would say hope is way more.
like for the average like
Obama.
white American, he
Mhm.
created a lot of hope.
Yeah.
So I
man.
mean,
Immigration coming in. Everybody has
But
their
you know
side,
what?
right? Everybody picks a side.
What's the
and stands
opposite
on
of
that
hope?
side.
Despair. He created a lot of despair for, I think, like 85% of the country.
Depends on who you ask, man. The black population is only 13% of the total American population.
Well,
that
definitely.
means
I
there's
mean,
even
he
less.
created despair in.
So that means there's a
Good,
large
90% of
majority
that,
out there who we probably
13%.
did instill hope in. For us, it wasn't like that. I don't know, man. I'm not saying I'm considered a conspiracy theorist. I personally
Don't get hung up on names.
don't trust the government.
Labels?
Okay,
Yeah, don't
don't.
get hung up on labels. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You are what you are.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I
Like, I just don't
Do what
trust
you
these
do.
guys, man. People can be bought. Finances, you can't participate. Even if we create a new political party, then comes in the question of lobbying, right? How can we stand on the same scale as these lobbyists, these billionaires, millionaires who can make these crazy amount of donations to a certain political party? Even what was it called? Occupy Democrats. What was it called? You were just talking about the
Justice
party,
Democrats.
Justice Democrats, right? These people can say, yeah, we're not going to take this donation from this organization or from this corporation.
They sign contracts, but okay.
Once you get into office, there's all type of ways to get around a contract. Contracts are breached every day. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to say I'm taking away hope and there's no hope and all this other stuff, but we have to look at the reality of the situation that people say all types of things
That
to get
people
in
can
office.
always be corrupt.
Yeah,
I'm
human
with you,
history
dude.
has proven that.
I'm with you, dude. I'm with
Human
you.
history has proven that people can always be corrupted.
I'm with you. And saying that thing, everybody appreciates. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we should, of course, acknowledge that people can be corrupted. And yet,
But I'm saying
what's the
we
options?
can't put all our
like, what
anger.
options do we have?
We
right?
can't put all
Is
our
the options
anger-
to be like, oh well, fuck it.
We can't
Doesn't
put all our
matter.
anger
I'm
into
not even
Trump.
gonna bother.
We can't put all
Like,
our
I think
hope
what
into Justice
you're-
Democrats.
I think what you're saying is that the alternative is fuck it. It's not going to matter anyway, right? Fuck it. It's not going to matter
this
because
system
nobody's
might
gonna.
be fucked.
It's going to be. Yeah, it
Everything
might
is
be.
based off
Until
the dollar.
It's
is how
fucked
much-
if nobody fights.
This is how much finances matter.
It's
right?
I think that's how it
If
is
the
in
dollar
every
falls,
situation.
if the dollar falls, where are we at?
It's screwed if nobody fights.
So shouldn't,
no matter
so,
what.
like, so shouldn't the main focus, whether you want to remove a statue in Charlottesville or whether you want to vote for Virginia governor, should the main focus be strengthening the dollar?
No, what?
But it's
I guess.
strengthening
I
the
don't know.
dollar.
That
If the
seems
dollar
irrelevant at
falls,
this point.
what does our money mean?
What are you talking about?
I'm
dollar?
talking about overall. What does our money mean? This stuff doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, right? If the dollar is devalued in its value, right, and it's no longer the world currency, it's not going to matter whether you're black or white, anti-Trump, anti-this, left, right wing. It's
Is
not
the
going to
dollar
matter.
the world currency now?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. But if it falls, so the main focus should be strengthening that. It's not whether Trump wants to build a wall. We focus our attention in these directions that, honestly, it doesn't matter. Like we have to focus on if you're not talking about strengthening the American economy, giving people jobs, which Trump nor Obama did, but Obama got everybody's support, but he didn't do that. If you're not talking about that, the rest of that stuff outside doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It really doesn't. When it comes down to it,
I would
people
argue
want
that if you're not
security,
talking, I
safety.
would argue that if you're not talking about providing healthcare for everybody, I would argue that if you're not talking about providing stable jobs for people, then no, none of this shit matters. I would say that, yeah, you can say, sure, increasing the value of the U.S. dollar is the only thing that matters, but
You know,
I
a lot
think
of
you
other-
have a whole lot of people who disagree with you because that's one
Who would
aspect of
disagree
a,
with
I think that's one
strengthening
aspect.
the American dollar.
I think that's one aspect of a huge picture. And I think that picture starts with the grassroots. That huge picture, it doesn't fucking start at the top. You think the people on Wall Street give a fuck? They don't. It starts with the grassroots, D. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying grassroots organizing, people starting with Justice Democrats, starting with or whatever group you want, right? It doesn't have to be that. But whatever group you have that's going to put actual people in positions of power so they can make decisions for the humanity or for the people, or the only way is going to fix the overall problem, man. Now you got to get the corporations out. They're always going to make, the corporations are definitely, look, in my imagination, I'm imagining that the corporations are definitely for strengthening the value of the dollar, right? Because they
Depends on
benefit
who
from
you
that,
ask.
right?
Yeah. I mean,
But they fucking haven't. Because the corporations have been in charge for how long and the value of the dollar is what? Decreased? So we
down.
gotta
There's no
change.
gold.
We gotta
There's no
change the
resources
roots.
to back
We
the
have
dollar.
to change the roots of the problem. The
And you're
root
not
of the
gonna
problem
do-
is putting people, if we're providing for the people.
Okay, I mean, I guess.
I guess,
When has,
I don't know.
when has business
I'm
ever
saying.
been moral? There's no morality in business.
But it can be.
People will starve and be killed to
it
support
can
some
be
kind of
moral,
business.
but
agenda.
like, bro, if you give me like a couple mil and then tell me to do something like that, it's against my morals. I mean, a couple mil, like I might.
Would you turn down $8 million to, like, somebody say, hey, Juice, if you come to this Donald Trump rally and speak, you know, for on behalf of Donald Trump, you know, and try to hype him up, and we'll give you $8 million.
You will represent.
Would you turn that
you
down?
will represent the black community if you are paid. But like,
Would you turn that down? I don't think fiscally.
Here's a more
financially,
important
I don't
question.
think any of us would turn that down.
Here's a more
and
important question,
that's
right?
the hard part.
Here's a
And
more
that's why
important
people can
question.
be corrupted.
If you had $8 million and somebody offered you $8 million to do that, would you do it?
But what if they give you more? What if they give you $80 million then? At that point,
If you had $8 million and they offered you $80 million, would
money,
you do it?
Money makes the world go round, man.
If you had $8 million already and they offered you $80 million, would you do it?
Yes.
All right, well then that's on you, right? Like that's on you then, because I wouldn't.
That goes back to
I
the
wouldn't, though,
corruptibility of
right?
people.
I
You would
wouldn't.
turn out $80 million. I don't
If I
believe
had
you.
$8 million, yeah, fuck it.
No way.
Fuck is $80 million
So,
to
why,
$8
why
million?
would you not want another 80?
but the
Why
thing is,
would
like,
I?
But
I can
Fuck
buy
it,
that
$80
boat,
million.
I can get
But
another
$8 million
car.
to 80, that's perspective. If you had like $8,000 and someone offered you $80,000, would you turn that down? Again, like it's perspective. Like
Doesn't matter.
if you offer Bill Gates $80 million, hell, no, he don't give a fuck.
It's
about
like, what's
that.
your price for selling out, right?
Right? It's what's your price. So like everyone, in my opinion,
Do you think everybody has a price?
I think everyone does have a price.
I think it depends on what. I think it depends on what it is. I think it depends on what
You
you're
pick-
asking them to do.
Bro,
I think so, yeah.
you
How
pay
much
me-
would
pay me
you?
enough
How
money,
much? If it was to kill a 6-year-old little girl, how much would they have to pay you?
Right.
Would it be 80 million? Is that your limit?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of money, yo. I mean, I don't know if I would. I mean,
So would I kill an 8-year-old
I don't
little
know.
girl
I don't know.
for
If,
80
I don't know if I would do
million?
it though. But I mean, again, like, but the fact that you hesitate for that brief moment, then throw another zero in there. Then when you had, then it's like,
What's the difference between 8
Because-
million and $8 trillion?
To us, there's none. Because
There's a
I can do the
numerical
same
difference,
with
but
both
there's a
of them.
fucking arbitrary number
well,
in the sky.
because we're
it
not
doesn't
millionaires,
matter, right?
We can't.
It's just,
comprehend.
it's a huge amount of
But
money.
I
I
guarantee
get it.
you. But
What
I
the fuck
guarantee
does it
you.
mean?
I guarantee you, somebody
Nothing.
out there who's starving, who has been homeless, or who has been whatever, right? You offer them, like 8 million instead of 80, they'll do it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
Someone
sure
out
there's
there-
people out there who's starving right now offered you offering them that, and they'd be like, "Dude, I'm better off without it."
I don't know about that, though. Like, money makes the world go
You'd
round,
be
man.
surprised,
We
dude.
can't do anything in the world without money. We can't
Respect
run
it,
the
man.
government.
I would say though,
You can't eat. You can't go anywhere. That everything is based upon.
I
this
agree.
dollar.
I agree with both points. I agree that everyone has their market, but my love for humanity, I hope people out there will turn it down.
Of
If
course,
whatsoever.
you would hope that people are moral.
But there's
and-
always somebody who won't.
So, but anyways,
Just like how many people are gonna go through before you find somebody who will. So the question is it going to be you?
I hate to always be like the negative Nelly and stuff like that.
Well,
and I don't want to
show me the money first, and then we'll talk.
I just think things are bigger than me definitely can perceive. Like, I think things go so much deeper. Like, our economies and the way we live our lives are so interconnected with these corporations, and even from country to country. It's not just us, Europe, China. If the value of stocks decrease over here, it's going to affect people halfway around the world. You know what I mean? So I think things are bigger, and for us to focus on Trump or
Even though
sometimes
Trump
it doesn't.
is
It
the
makes me
president-
mad.
Trump is a problem.
Even
He's
though
not
Trump
the main
is the
problem.
president,
He's
I
not the main
don't think he's the main issue. I don't think he's
He's
the biggest
definitely
problem.
not the main issue.
I think he's pretty low.
I think he's
on
too
my
stupid
problem.
to be a main issue.
Did we snowball into that Trump thing yet? Did you have the list?
I was
For the
about to,
impeachment?
but we had a great
Talk about
segue, but we missed it.
Yeah, we definitely missed it.
That's fine.
Anyway, so next topic. There was a video that popped up on my Facebook feed as usual. But
This is kind of the same.
title of the article is 4 Grounds to Impeach Trump. And it was by a professor named Robert Reich. And so I just want to go over these 4 to 5 topics as 1/5 potential and see what we think about these options. Maybe if we think any of these grounds would be something that we could make stick to impeach Trump. So, number 1, based on his oath of office, that he said that, or he swore he had to fitfully and faithfully execute the duties of that office. So the argument is that Trump is unfaithfully doing so and blaming Obama for whatever arbitrary issues he's blamed Obama for over time, and whether or not those are enough grounds to get him impeached.
I feel like people always talk shit. I feel like
Definitely
previous
Trump talk shit.
I mean, Trump definitely does, but like I feel like previous
Slander.
like presidents have said some untrue things about other people. I mean,
like saying Obama wasn't a American citizen, or that he's Muslim. Like those like is that slander, right?
I think everything has to be legal.
mudslinging.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, we can call people names all day, but if there's no legal implications that are being broken, I mean, I don't think there's any grounds to impeach him. I mean, hell, Bill Clinton lied under oath, right? Did we impeach Bill? Did Bill Clinton get impeached?
Yep.
He did. Okay, yeah. Well, he lied under oath.
So what
Of
about
course.
Nixon?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like,
I think he resigned, right?
yeah. So, but I mean, like,
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean,
I personally don't think this is gonna stick. I don't think so. Here's the main question: is will Congress proceed based on those things? So far, we've seen that they haven't. Right?
maybe they want to give him a little more time. He's got to slip up on video. That's what it has to happen.
What?
He got to slip up on World
it has
Star.
to be, it has to be big.
Yeah,
What's
that shit on
number
World
two?
All right, number two.
Like Trump picked up a hooker or something.
All right.
Man,
So.
What about JFK? Because JFK had a fucking button. Dude.
Yo, he did.
He had a fucking
I
button.
heard JFK was promiscuous as hell.
No, bro, JFK had a fucking button, right? Where like if like like someone, he had like a small little alarm or something. Where like if his wife or somebody was coming, they would sound the alarm. He'd be like, "Oh, get the fuck off me!"
Yeah, you know what I mean?
For
Put your clothes on.
No, yeah, no. So he had that shit. So again, like
Yeah, that secret
Yeah, the
Oval
little
Office
sliding
back door.
panel. Yeah.
So, get in it. So for Trump to pick up like a hooker or something, like I don't think that's enough.
What? I think now. I think it will.
Morally,
A big portion of his base was evangelical Christians. Like if they found out Trump was fucking had holes in that jump,
What about Bill Clinton though? Come on now. Bill
he
Clinton,
got impeached.
yeah, but like
That's because he lied, not because he was promiscuous.
yeah, but like
Well,
but
he shouldn't be impeached for being promiscuous.
Even before that, even
right?
before Monica Lewinsky, like he had tons of other like women. Like,
But Trump would lose support like shit if he got caught. He's a Republican.
He already has.
you can't lose support.
they're-
Hey, you can't lose support if you don't have support.
30% still. He's been at 30%
snap.
steadily. All right. So number two. Okay. So I don't remember what article is in the Constitution, but anyway, it's saying that it's forbidden for government officials to take things of value from foreign governments. And the argument is that Trump is getting patents from China and using his hotels and his Mar-a-Lago resort for profit.
All right.
So
Okay, hold on. So the whole Trump hotel, his whole brand thing, that I can see because that is a conflict of interest. And I do remember him saying early on that he's going to step down from that business sector so that it doesn't conflict. I haven't seen him do that yet, so that's my only touchy subject.
he hasn't done it, and he's even if he has, he was saying he was putting his children in charge.
Yeah.
But that's not separating. That's still a conflict of interest.
regarding taking things from other countries, though, like come on now, like the war on terrorism, the war in the Middle East and stuff, like that was way before Trump.
That's also like, what is the war on terror? Like, how do you have a war on terror? Like, who is terror?
But what
is
about
terror?
patents in China?
And like, right, like, what if those?
Him and Ivanka Trump sat down with the Chinese foreign prime minister, and immediately, like that day, like patents that were pending got passed.
And what if, like, other countries don't adhere to the same laws, obviously, as America? I mean, say he has a company based in, like you said, China, and they give him not direct hand-to-hand money, things of value, but he gives them kind of subsidy in China or some kind of offshore holding account where they put this money in and it sits there for a couple of years until some legal things happen.
Would that be a
he
thing
puts
of
it in his
value?
account. He, as an official, didn't take a thing of value, but him as a businessman, his business holdings, his stock that he owns in whatever company or whatever is going on, that's not illegal. I mean, there's two sides
illegal.
to it.
Because he's a
But
president,
he
he's not
didn't
supposed to
directly
have.
take that money.
He's
It went
not
off into
supposed to
some
have
kind of an
those.
This goes
offshore
back to
account.
corporations.
He's not supposed to have those.
There's a way of banking that works that you can get around directly taking something, you handing me something. You can put it in the middle of the table, Jay can take it, put it into an account, it can sit there for a year, and then when it transfers to another account, I can go there and pick it up. You didn't directly hand me that thing of value.
But
I
say we're
still
not
got
talking
it.
about that. Say we're talking about patents.
Well, are we talking about patents or something of value? What did the thing say in the article?
It says this thing says things of value.
Well, that could be
quoted.
patents. That could be subsidies.
It could be resources.
It could be a watch.
Resources,
Right?
Because
Yeah.
like if previous presidents, they've all done shady shit, man. Like going to the Middle East and trying to get that oil and calling it like the war on
I
terrorism and
heard
stuff.
something like
the
the only 3 countries, something like in the world that don't have constitutions are like Iran, Syria, and some other country. Man, I'm not sure how true it is. I didn't do any research on it, but it's just kind of funny that right now everything is so.
Because then their Quran would be there.
Everything is like a hot button topic around Syria, and we're bombing the hell out of them, and Iran, and it's just things are interconnected, man.
Wait, well, I want to bring up Mar-a-Lago. So Mar-a-Lago is his resort.
Yeah.
So since he became president, he's raised the yearly dues from $100,000 to $200,000 a year.
Is that for members of the resort?
Yeah, and
I heard something like that, right?
Yeah, and then he also he keeps advertising as the Winter White House. So, and he's also
he can entertain foreign dignitaries there.
Yes,
like that.
he has entertained foreign dignitaries there.
It's
that's
funny,
money
it's funny
directly
that
to
you
his
talk about
pocket.
Mar-a-Lago because this is actually a good thing about Trump. Because back in the day, like when this is in Florida, back when they were opening Mar-a-Lago and stuff, it was a basically a all-white community.
Mm-hmm.
And when he opened Mar-a-Lago, he was like, you know what? Not only do I want black people coming into my resort or whatever, I want them to be able to work in here as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that was
I think it was probably just the latter part.
Either way,
I want black people to be able to come and work in my resort.
Either way, he actually hired a lot of minorities.
I'm not going to pay you enough to stay here, but you can.
But in that time period though, where people were not hiring minorities, he was one of the first people to hire. So that's in historical fact.
What era is this?
It wasn't too long ago.
Because he probably hired him at cheaper
but
wages.
That's one of the things where people are saying, oh, like Trump is a racist. When I was doing research on him, that's one of the things that came up, the Mar-a-Lago thing, where they were like, oh, well, he's one of the first people, first business owners to hire minorities and pay them and
I'm sure if we look deeper, he's racist.
But again, so it's interesting that you bring up Mar-a-Lago again. So I was like, oh, okay, cool.
All right, and then the last part is
But is that enough to impeach him though? The fact that he's raising this is like.
I mean, it's direct conflict. If we're talking about conflicts of interest and receiving something for benefit from
think about America like a business, right? You go to a Walmart and spend $1, right? You're
America's
not directly
not a
giving
business.
that dollar to. It's run like a business.
The sweatshops.
It's not supposed to be.
You're not exactly
Based on the
giving that dollar to
Constitution,
the
it's not
Walton
supposed to.
family, but you're enriching them. You know what I mean? So there are ways to work the financial system where you don't.
It's all
it doesn't
wording,
look like they're
it's all
directly
wording
giving
in
it to you.
detail. Yeah, it's
All right,
all wording in detail.
and then the hotels. So hotels across the world, right?
Conflict of interest again.
All right.
I don't know. So if these things are a problem, why haven't they been more to
Because
the
it
forefront?
has to go through Congress. Congress has to push it, and Congress is all Republican right now.
Well, I was going to say it's impeaching. To me, is a smaller issue. The bigger issue is legislation. Then, this shouldn't even the fact that it's able to go on for this long. There should have been legislation, or there should have been some kind of
There should have been a stop a long time ago.
Yeah, it should have stopped a long time ago. This shouldn't have never been possible.
You think about something like this.
So
These
this is
things
not
are-
really his fault. He's just taking. He's
taking advantage
He's a
of it.
smart man.
Mhm.
He's taking. He knows the loopholes for taxes. He knows how to take advantage of the system without
He's not a smart man.
Okay, well, he knows the loopholes.
He knows people who are
smart
smart.
enough-
They
he's
do
smart
shit
enough
for
to
him.
be,
he knows he can
on
pay
the
the right
Forbes
people
list.
to do it.
He's
You know what I'm
pretty
saying?
smart.
So as a result, right, what he's doing, he hasn't gotten in trouble yet. So the only people that you can blame is the system, man. You got to change the
I don't
system.
want to
So
jump
it's
gun.
full. Yeah.
I don't want to jump gun and talk about something we haven't talked about yet. But you have a guy getting arrested for violating probation that he got arrested for something he didn't do. If these things are issues, why haven't they been pressed on Trump yet? Why haven't we heard more about this? On the
Because
news or
Congress
in
has
these-
to push the impeachment
Why is he not
process.
being taken to court? I don't know. It's just weird.
Congress has to, at least as far as impeachment goes. Congress, there are lawsuits against them right now based upon the hotels. Right, that's happening already, but so far nothing's come of it.
Even if he's transferred ownership to to someone else.
His son, his
I
daughter.
guarantee you that someone else, that other CEO or whoever, is going to give him some money.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Definitely.
But
he's not even trying that shit.
No, right.
That's how
He-
brazen he
right,
is.
right.
But like,
Keep it the way
if
it
he's
is.
getting impeached because of conflict of interest, if he did transfer ownership, say, I don't know, like someone, whoever, like Joe Schmo over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's no longer a conflict of interest, then, quote unquote, right? But how do you know they're not filtering money back then? Right? So he's just avoiding getting impeached. So again, like, it's all legislation. It's all about like how it's written, and because it's so like, it's so vague and general, like, that's why he's taking advantage of it. So I mean, I fault the system.
Do you ever think that maybe they underestimate, common people enough that we won't figure it out, or that like some group of people won't figure out what's going on? They're just like, you know what, I'm gonna do this in plain sight.
All we need is tax returns.
And I always have plausible deniability. If you come and say, hey, you're taking money from from people overseas,
Do they be taking money like?
they'd be like, no, I'm not. Yeah.
So put
Put it in his
Check
pocket
it
real
out.
quick. No,
my
man.
argument with that, my rebuttal to that is they've instilled enough fear that whistleblowers get in trouble now.
Yes,
So
that's
like,
happening.
which is bullshit, because like if you think about it, if someone says, "Hey, whoa, you're doing the wrong thing," right? You want someone like that
To
call them out.
That's
right?
what the point
But the
is.
fact is
But
that
they're
whistleblowers, right, when they call something out, they get in trouble, right?
It's supposed to be
They
protected.
just get stitches and stuff, right? When they do that, right, the fact that they get in trouble, like, who the fuck is gonna call him out?
Right.
You're gonna call out the most
That's why
powerful
we need
man
Julian
in the
Assange
United
to
States.
say his ass there.
Like, are you out of your goddamn mind? You're gonna
That's in
call
Ecuador.
the president out. You better have like a good insurance policy. You know what I'm saying?
So you might not even get that. Who knows, man?
The hitman.
So again, like,
I always
Blow
wonder
your
about the
head off.
hitman. Like, who's hitman? Like, who's using the hitman right now?
John Wick.
I know, right? Like, he's out there.
Yeah, John Wick 2 was awesome, man. I know so that joint came out like 2 months ago, but that joint was tight.
I just
All
saw
right.
it the other day. It's pretty good.
You ever think okay? You ever think like if you've been out in public, have you walked past a hitman? But what does a hitman do? Does a hitman go to like a restaurant and sit down and eat? And just like get is it like Jason Bourne? They get a phone they're gonna be like you take them down, and they just go off and do it, just do the hit, and then go back to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Probably.
you ever think you're in
Right
DC?
I got a text.
You ever think
Gotta
you're in
text.
DC and you're just sitting by like a hitman?
But
Just chilling.
but if you look in history, if you read up on like assassins and like all these famous hitmen, like there have been cases. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure, like, also they may not be called hitmen nowadays, but like, if you have a lot of money, you pay somebody like a couple mil to make someone else disappear, like,
It's happening.
it's gonna happen. Like, look, I'm a fucking nobody, okay? So if some dude was paid like 8 mil to take me out, like, I don't think anyone will question.
I don't even know if I'd be worth $8 million. They'd be like, man, I give you 8,000.
Okay.
I ain't giving you $8 million.
I'm giving myself
It's just
more
there.
credit.
I get $20.
Yeah, it's just there.
All right.
I don't give
Well,
a
I-
fuck.
like, all right.
I'll take them out.
So again, like, like, I'm sure it happens. Like, but I think we're oblivious. So I think what it goes back to is like we're just so focused on our own lives that, you know what, Trump doing this with his hotels, I'm like, man, it doesn't really affect me.
Yeah.
I'll just go to Marriott.
Number 3. All right, so First Amendment has a line against the representation of a religion or the restriction of a primary religion, or a particular religion. So
For who?
any religion for the president, right? So First Amendment has a restriction against for the president against the representation of a religion or a restriction of a religion. So the argument is that Trump's travel ban was religiously motivated against Islam.
See,
Or
but
Muslim people.
see, I don't like the whole like Muslim quote unquote ban. I'd rather just call it like a brown ban, because like you call it Muslim, like you didn't see Singapore get banned, you didn't see Indonesia get banned, or Turkey. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just saw people from like the Middle East. Like, again, like, don't call it a. I think
They call it that based on his quotes from earlier, though.
I think
Like, that's
I think
what he was
used
talking
it,
about.
I think he used it out of fear with the whole 9/11 thing. He has to let's call it a Muslim ban instead, because call it a brown people ban, you know, Black Lives Matter, they're gonna get pissed off. So call it a Muslim ban. Let's play on the fears of the whole 9/11, the whole TSA thing. Like, I think that's where it's coming from. So again, like, to impeach him on the fact that he has a Muslim ban, my retort would be, what about Turkey? What about Indonesia? What about Singapore? They're Muslim. They're primarily Muslim. So it's not really a ban. So you couldn't impeach him just on that fact.
Just on that alone, but they're using his quotes from earlier and also the original writing of the original travel ban, right? So if they use
Bush
those
had his whole
things,
thing on the
all
Middle
they
East,
did
though.
was revise it, right? So if your initial representation of something that was clearly against majority all Muslim countries, right? Like the countries he did ban don't not particularly have a history in terrorism attacks against the United States, but they were Muslim countries regardless. Even though he didn't get all the Muslim countries, he definitely got the particular main ones in the Middle East. So it's like, is that enough?
I feel like there's a reason for those particular countries.
I think they could argue it, of course. It'd be a good back and forth.
Yeah, but if there's any leeway or there's any gaps in the like judicial system, like he's gonna get off. Like there's no way. Like and, like when you convict somebody of like say murder, you have to not prove without a shadow of a doubt that they did it. If there's a small there's a small little doubt, he's not getting convicted.
Like, what does reasonable mean?
Well, that's up to the court to decide.
It all goes back to legalese.
And again, I mean, I don't want to bring up that thing that we're talking about precast, but like if a jury finds you innocent and the judge still like
sure.
So I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like again, like if there's any gaps in wording because everything is worded so vaguely, anyways. Like I don't think he's going to get impeached just off of this particular point alone.
That alone, right?
I mean, it makes him look like a
I think if it came as a secondary layer on top of something else, it could help the case, but not as a primary.
But that goes back to the whole,
and also the first one. I don't think that'll hold.
I like these are good points, but again, like they're only good points. Like, they have to be strong enough to take him down. Like I don't think they're motherfucker. He's a billionaire, so he has like Cochran and like everyone in his corner,
hit lawyers and
and like. Who do we got? You know what I'm saying? So again, like, and then who's gonna whistle blow on this guy? So like,
I don't want to play the hopeless card anymore, man. You know what I mean? It's like, but it does seem that way, right? Like I know we were talking about hope earlier. Everything does kind of seem hopeless, But like you said, what do you have when you take away somebody's hope? Hope is everything, What the girl say in Rogue One, revolutions are built on hope, So, we still gotta try. We have to try. We gotta try to do something.
Number 4. All right. So there's a clause in the Fourth Amendment, which is against the bridging the freedom of the press. And, but Trump has labeled the press the enemy of the state. And he also gives favor to particular media organizations based upon their positive coverage of him in the past. So is that something that could be, that will stick?
No.
That's almost like a human thing, though.
So to me, no. Again, I could be wrong on this, but if for example, if I was, because you could, in Virginia, you can record me like using like a whatever. Okay? I don't know if you can do audio, but if I'm on public property or whatever, you can record me. That's no problem. If he, for example, just worded it to a private event, right? Because it's a private event or because it's on private property or whatever, you can't record him then. So again, like, what if he just had a private conference or whatever? Then, but this is just me. Like, this is just my opinion. I don't think you can.
Showing favoritism to certain media outlets. It's like if I have a bad experience at a restaurant, I might not go back to that restaurant anymore. You know what I mean? So if that's kind of a human reaction. Like, I'm not going to mess with you guys.
Or if it's a bad corporation, like, you know what? I'm not going there anymore. I'm not going there.
But then I end up spending my money at another.
I didn't like the way they treated me on this interview last time, so I'm not going to go back to this media organization.
I will say, just for that particular point, as a president of the United States, you shouldn't have that kind of bias. You're the president of the United States now. You're not just
you shouldn't put your reporters that come to cover your events in bullpens.
But reporters, they can cover the president.
Just because you're the president of the United States, you shouldn't be able to do that. But again, like, he has no political like background. So again, like he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
That's why he's firing these guys like that left and right.
That's what he's used to. He's used to a business, right? If I hired Juice to do something, but like I didn't like the way he whatever, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you're fired. That's a very business like mindset. That's the same mindset he has as a president. So you can see that in the way he talks to people and the way that he handles the press situation. Like, it's very business-like. Can you impeach him just on that? I don't think so.
Maybe it's not proper presidential etiquette, but it's not illegal either.
Right. It's certainly not etiquette, but like...
What about just the fact
And I
that
think you know what plays
he has
against-
labeled the media as the enemy of the state?
But that's freedom of speech. You can say whatever the fuck you want, though.
As a president.
It's not. It's uncouth. It's not nice. But like,
You know what
I
I,
mean, he
think?
can say
We
whatever.
think about media as...
Think about all the other presidents who say.
I guess
like,
as long as he doesn't go after them legally or
Right.
after them.
Right. But think about all the presidents in the past, like the war on terrorism, or like the Middle East are bad, or like
War on drugs.
like, oh, look at Iraq, or look at I mean, there are Armenians down here like who are nice people. Like, you can't say that about a country. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, what about the Chinese, or what about the blah blah blah? Like, like people have said some pretty bad things in the past. So again, like, I don't fault them.
When we think about media, I think we think about like these large corporations, ABC, NBC, MSNBC, CNN. But I think nowadays with the internet and the freedom that a lot of people have to do their own reporting, there are so many smaller media outlets, independent. Maybe some of these guys were caught up in this ban, or maybe it wasn't the larger ones who's easily controlled.
What was the
it's one
trickle
of these-
down effect or something like that? Like
Exactly.
if you can't get
Like,
pinned
if you
for
start
something
censoring
bigger,
independent media, and you only want people to report who are favorable to you, is that impeachable? Is that against the law?
maybe not initially, but maybe
See,
in
showing
time it could
favoritism.
be.
Showing
Yeah.
favoritism, though, like for example, when he's the president, he can hire whoever to be like the Secretary of State or whatever. Like, that's favoritism again. So again, it goes back to legislation and how you write these things. Like, instead of getting the most qualified person, you just get your homie.
Mm-hmm. Now, this guy backed me, a couple years ago, so I'm gonna give him this post there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
And even government jobs, so that in itself, the fact that like it's almost impossible to get fired from a government job, like that's, I mean, that's, I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff that like I feel like there's loopholes in that we should fix. But I mean,
It's all about like you said, the way it's worded, legalese. I heard that's actually a language. Legalese, like it's the way
Seems
you
like
word something.
absolutely.
Official documents are worded in a way. That's why you need a lawyer for an interpreter, because you don't understand.
I know that. I know that
language.
when I was working at
and they take small words like is and the. What does is when you use it in this sentence?
in this reference.
Yeah, in this reference. Like
Like
what does this
I know
mean?
that in my previous employments where I had to document stuff that was legal documents, right? I had to be very careful to be objective, not subjective, and also how I word it, because like at any time people can request documents. I can be summoned to court. I can be whatever. So again, like they're very smart in this, and also sometimes they have to be very vague. That way, like you cover your butt.
They're going to impeach Jay, and they get a letter of impeachment.
So you have been impeached.
That's why, like, when I see things like this, I'm vague too. I'm vague too. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Thank you.
Word, man.
All right, so last one, number 5. This is maybe based more on current events. So there's a clause in the Constitution related to high crimes and misdemeanors. So it's in reference to any collusions Trump may have with Russia related to elections or taking money from Russia or making a deal with Russia. You think, and this is really based on just an opinion because we don't have any hard facts. We know recently he just fired Comey, the director of the FBI, and also the FBI has opened a independent investigation into Trump using Mueller, who is the director of the FBI under President Bush. So these are happening now. But do you guys think that Trump could be pinned for any collusions with Russia? Or?
I'm not sure. I don't know enough about the inner workings of this stuff to really know. But, I mean, I would imagine if he did have any collusions with Russia, that's an impeachable offense. But, once again,
It depends on what they are, right?
It all depends on what it is, how it's worded, what emails or whatever. And, America being the citizenry, I'm saying that right, citizenship state that it is, if you have somebody who has legal or political ties to Russia and they come to the United States and get a citizenship, you know, and you have enough people do that, it's like, how can you control that thing, you know? And they'll try to say that, you know, Russia had some influence into the election process, but how specifically did they have this, you know, how did they control this thing? How did they move, you know, American opinion or you know, the opinion of Trump, or, you know, what did they exactly affect to make that, you know? And until we prove that thing, I mean, who knows, man?
Yeah, like so it's like how we don't have any hard facts. We don't know, but I imagine that if it's just collusion, right? Like based on, like, we know they didn't mess with the polling machines for the elections, right? If anything, it was wrong, like, right? Which is specifically illegal. But we know that there were WikiLeaks releases that seem to have been timed, right? So is that Trump's campaign? Was that Trump, right? So I think it would depend, you know, like if they found, I feel like if they found business ties, right, which have been like assumed, and I know at one point Trump's son said that they had a lot of they've done a lot of business with Russia, and this was like years ago, that they've done a lot of business with Russia in the past. That if it got out that Trump has financial ties to Russia's government, as far as maybe even business deals or something related to real estate, right? That would give them enough leverage, maybe to.
What about the? I mean, like in the past, the FBI had, you know, and like Bush and all, and even like the Osama bin Laden, like their family all had ties and stuff. So like again, like just because you have ties doesn't mean, I don't know.
Like,
well,
if Trump as the real estate investor and Putin as the real estate investor, or whoever is in government over there, if they have business dealings as investors before Trump's president, how do you sever those ties after he's president? Like,
I would say disclosure.
There you go. I think that's the only way.
But nothing has been disclosed. If the FBI finds it, I feel like it's going to be. I don't know if it. That's the thing. Will it be impeachable, or will it just be?
Stop that, Trump. You know,
yeah,
right.
Like slap you on the wrist.
Again, like, who's going to enforce that?
Right. So that's another thing. It's hard to. It entirely depends on what it is. You know,
I mean,
like if they found out Trump's got a hitman and they took out
Trump
somebody,
put out a hit on somebody,
or Trump hit on somebody in Russia, then okay, fine, that makes sense. Like, boom, ladies and gentlemen, we got
you know for a fact. But you know for a fact that he's probably going to cover his tracks. He's going to have someone else do it.
Oh, yeah, I'll take out the hitman. I've seen Jason Bourne. I know how this shit works. I've seen the Bourne identity.
You know what I'm saying?
But let him do the hit. I'm gonna take him out.
Do the hit. Take out the hit.
I mean, I think all these points, I think they're good points, and I think that, you know, like, doesn't make them look good. Like, these are things that we can try and stick on them, but like, I don't think they're gonna stick, man.
Would they call them the asset? I'm gonna take out the asset. Like, the asset's in place.
It's too vague, man. A lot of these things are too vague. Like, it's too many gaps.
But I think as a
going
population.
back to Nixon,
Go ahead.
What exactly was it that Nixon did?
Watergate?
Yeah.
Watergate was a major political scandal that occurred in the United States in the 1970s following a break in the Democratic National Committee headquarters at the Watergate office complex in... Hang on, now I gotta load up the whole wiki article.
The scandal led to the discovery of multiple abuses of power by members of the Nixon administration and an impeachment process against the president that led to articles of impeachment, the resignation of Nixon. The scandal also resulted in the indictment of 69 people with trials or pleas resulting in 48 being found guilty. But what was it?
But even afterwards, he was pardoned, though. So, I mean,
it said multiple abuses of power by members of Nixon's administration.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't say what those abuses of power was.
It's a wiretapping of the Democratic party's headquarters.
And it's all about the way it's worded. It's not illegal if it's not worded that way, you know. It's all about your interpretation of the law. And, you know, I don't know. Maybe we need to get a lawyer to come in and sit with us on the podcast so we can ask these questions.
The funny point and good point is that Nixon did fire his head FBI director right before he went down. Because he was being investigated by his own FBI director. And he fired him. which Trump did, and whether Trump did it because he's stupid, and like you said before, he's running off of the CEO mentality. It was like, I don't like you, you're fired, right? Or if he did it because Comey was getting close to something he didn't want found.
Man, do you
That's
think,
But even after the fact, though, Nixon still got it. He still got pardoned. So I mean, just a slap on the wrist.
do we? I think the people
Trump's
as a
not
whole,
going to jail.
like the
Whatever
population
he
as a
does.
whole, we're getting smarter as far as our availability or our access to information. Where like a lot of these old tricks, that used to work in the past, as far as to steer public opinion, don't work. Everybody can form their own opinion now because of independent media.
I think independent media helps, but I still think like there's always been some kind of independent media, but I think still
but
there's
now-
this huge still propaganda going on. Like there's always propaganda. If you watch TV, you're subscribing to the propaganda, right? Like if you,
But you can look at a video on YouTube on your cell phone right at this moment and learn more about the legal system in a 10-minute video than you could in 12 years in high school,
yeah.
So I don't know. Is our access to information, and do you think these guys are just so brazen that they can just do shit and they don't care if we know or not? You ever think that? Like Trump don't care. I don't care if these motherfuckers know if I got business deals. What are they gonna do?
I think that's going to be the case if we can't pin them for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's going to be a precedent.
That reminds me of like mob bosses back in the day. I don't know, maybe even now. But like if a very notorious dude walked down the streets, like in his neighborhood, and someone that he didn't like, and he just popped them right there. Do you think anyone's going to say anything?
I don't know.
You better believe I'm gonna walk away and just be like,
I'm saying I ain't see shit.
Pop me.
No, exactly. So again, I think a lot of
Plead
these
the fifth.
CEOs, because they're quote unquote untouchable because they're so high up, it's like, well, what are you guys gonna do? What? Like this common person's gonna do something? No, it has to be like it has to be something big.
So you're
That's what
right.
the government used
It
to
does
be for.
start at the grassroots because there's strength in numbers, right? I mean, a president can't go to war without what do they call it? Manufacturing consent. You can't go to war without the consent of the people. You need people to send to fight that war.
Yeah.
So the power is really in the people. We do have the numbers, but you start throwing in scary things like martial law, and these guys are preparing for things that they know can possibly
The fact
happen
that the
while trying to
police
keep the rest of us
departments-
in the dark. Like they don't want you prepared for what could possibly happen, but we're going to prepare, behind the scenes.
So let me hit this final last question related to this article, and then we can talk about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah. 'Cause
So the very last question is: do you think Congress will, no matter what comes up, do you think Congress will have the balls or the enough reason to impeach Trump? Do you think they'll turn on him? Do you think there's a degree where
maybe not enough reason yet. He has to be caught blatantly with something, but I definitely think they would do it. If they caught him with something, you need to have a fall man, and it depends on opinion and within Congress. I mean, depends on how many Trump supporters are there. Just depends.
I think-
and it depends on what comes out.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna do anything right now.
You
I
gotta
think
let it run its course.
I think it's gonna have to take something where like it's Trump going down the street and shooting somebody for him to actually do something, because all these things,
according to him,
like
that's not enough? He said for a fact, I could walk down the street and shoot somebody, and my people still love him.
Mhm.
Quote.
I think that's what's going to take for us to actually impeach him or do something.
Who knows, man? All right,
All right, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Before
We
we
got
get out of
it.
here, what y'all think? I liked it.
Well, first
I
off,
liked it.
I liked it. Of course, I liked it. It was a great
I
movie.
thought
What?
visually, like aesthetically, it was a beautiful movie. Like when you saw, when Ego was walking through the world and showing him how he went to these different planets and that little screen that everything was up on, like that, it looked beautiful. Like you never saw something like that's one thing you appreciate about Marvel. They always have good effects in every
Yeah.
movie. The effects
Like, you
look
think
beautiful.
of Doctor Strange, man? That was a beautiful
awesome,
movie to
right?
watch.
Right?
I saw it in 3D. Oh my god,
That
I was
was awesome,
awesome,
man. When they had like the buildings folding over on each
Yeah.
other and everything, yeah, it always looks good,
Like,
But I will say one thing I didn't like about this movie, one thing I was disappointed in was I wish they would have tied it into the overall cinematic universe more.
yeah,
you
they
know,
didn't
like,
do much with that.
the last movie we saw Thanos, we saw him, and then we know the Avengers are gearing up towards a battle with Thanos. We saw the Infinity Stone. This movie, we didn't see any of that. We didn't see anything about the Infinity Stone.
We did see
Thanos.
we did see a Celestial though for the first time, which I think is going to be
Which is awesome.
Is going to be a thing that's going to tie into it.
Which was
But that's
awesome.
the fact that Peter Quill is half Celestial in this thing, and
Which could come back. Yeah.
right, that could be a thing, right?
I thought it was a beautiful movie, though, man. It looked good.
I
I
wish-
don't think it was as funny as the first one either.
I
thought
like Baby Groot.
Yeah,
Baby Groot was awesome in that job.
I kept waiting for Baby Groot to do something like cool. Like I kept waiting for him to like throw his branches out and fuck up a bunch of guys or something
He
like
was
that.
Baby
Like,
Groot.
yeah, but
He
I
definitely
thought
pulled
the
that
whole
dude
movie
over
was
the-
underestimated.
He had a couple of branches and stuff.
I thought they were
he definitely
underestimating
pulled that
him,
one
though.
dude over the edge of the railing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was cool. It looked good, man. I like Rocket too. I like
Yeah.
Rocket scene where he was
Rocket
all the
was-
guy for
he
coming up
was
to the
the
ship.
man.
Oh, yeah, dude.
That was awesome.
So
I like that.
that's another thing. I wish they had went into Rocket's like story a little bit more.
Like where
Like,
he
we have the
came from.
generalization or general story. Like in the first one, they covered how like they know he's some kind of science experiment, right?
Cybernetic. Kind
Yeah,
of
some
thing,
kind
yeah.
of thing they made.
Maybe
but
they're saving that for another movie.
maybe he'll have his own spinoff movie. That would be dope.
That'd be dope.
But I definitely like that they had him and Yondu like have like a moment. You know what I'm saying? Where they were like kind of the same. And
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool as far as characters go.
And we didn't really go into much about what Yondu was all about either, man. I like the Sylvester Stallone appearance though. I didn't expect that. I was
Right,
like,
that
Stallone.
was cool.
Yeah, that was,
I thought he was about to punch somebody in there. I was like, Rocky.
Yeah.
He was about to punch somebody up, yeah.
but okay, so the whole like Guardian of the Galaxy 2, I really enjoyed it. A lot of people said that number 1 was better or like number 2 sucked, and that's what I've heard. I
think it
enjoyed it.
sucked.
I thought that number 2, I thought that the jokes were very forced,
Mhm.
and a lot of them I saw a mile away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, you know what? I still laughed. I knew it was coming. I still laughed. I
Not
still
They did
as hard
it.
as
They
the
did
first
it
one.
well.
Just the delivery that came out. I was like, you know what? I was good.
I think because we were expecting it to be funny now,
Mhm.
right? Like the first one, tell me you went in there expecting it to be hilarious. When I went to see Guardians of the
Okay.
Galaxy for the first time, I did not expect a
Right.
funny, hilarious comedy space
Okay,
movie.
And it was funny
you're
throughout
right,
the
you're
movie.
right, you're right.
It was it was
And I
consistently
think
hilarious.
you hit it right there. Like number 2, we expected it to be funny.
Right.
Like we expected Drax to be funny. We expected like Groot to be
Although
funny.
Drax was probably one of the funniest guys in there.
He was
though.
cool.
Like, he kept calling that girl ugly, something like that. He was like, "You're beautiful on the inside."
On the inside.
Yeah,
it's on the inside.
It was kinda
It's like,
funny.
Said you're
ugh.
hideous.
What are you doing? It's like, I'm just picturing a physical relationship with you. It's like, oh my god, dude.
But you're right. They were kind of forced. The comedy
Yeah.
was a little forced. Like, remember in the
Aren't-
first
Wait a
one-
minute, Baby
Aren't-
Groot was legit though.
Aren't pets supposed to be pretty? Ugh. Why?
Like, what about when? Hold on, y'all remember when Drax was getting on the jet at the end, and Baby Groot was on a joke? He just started attacking him. You don't remember that part?
Yeah,
he just
I
like
think I
hopped
did.
up and started whooping, trying to beat up.
I like
Drax.
the beginning scene
So it's hilarious.
where Baby Groot's trying to catch that little fly.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
bites
and they're
it,
fighting all in
and
the
then
background.
Rocket's like, "No, you better
Spit it out, spit it out.
spit it out." Yeah,
Yeah, that was awesome.
so funny though.
But I like a funny the part. Remember in the first one where Groot is at the at the end of the movie when Quill and all them fighting, Groot throws his arms out and beats all these guys. There's like 10 guys,
yeah.
throws them, and then he turns around and smiles at Drac and all them. That was funnier
That
than
was
any
good.
part in the second movie. And like you're right. I think the comedy, like you said, you could see the jokes coming, and it just
Yeah.
wasn't. It was forced. Like a lot of it was forced, and you're just like, it's
But
not
because of
as
the delivery,
funny.
it was still funny.
It was
though.
still good. Like they set it
I
up.
think my
perfectly.
biggest-
Spoiler
The
alerts,
funny-
by the way, guys.
The funniest part with Groot was at the that little cutscene at the end when he was a teenager and he was in there
Oh,
playing
yeah.
the
Oh,
Game
yeah.
Boy and
Like, I am
shit.
Groot.
He's like, "Really, Groot? You're not going to clean up your room? He had fucking leaves and shit everywhere, fucking grass on the ground." Yeah,
It's like, what?
he was in that joke playing the hell out of that
you
game.
say?
I was like, "Yo, shit, he's a little Groot teenager."
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. But overall, I just didn't like how they didn't tie it into the Marvel universe more. I wanted to see
So that's one of the complaints.
yeah,
I've
like
heard.
show
Yeah,
Thanos,
That
show.
they branched off a little bit
Mhm.
because of that.
I think the phone rang. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
branch off and show and tie it into the overall arcing movie, man. Like I will say, this isn't Guardians of the Galaxy, but I can't wait for Thor. That junk looks freaking awesome. Okay,
Oh, I got reservations about Thor.
Spider-Man is going to be awesome, as we already know. I heard Shocker's in Spider-Man. They don't show him in the preview.
Spoiler.
I heard he's in there. I don't know. I just but I'm still overall excited for Marvel. But I
They
will
should
say
do
I was a
an
little
extra
bit
bad guy.
disappointed by this movie. Like when I got up, I was like, kind of disappointed. That was my first thought. I was like, it was a little bit disappointing. I wanted them to tie it in. Like,
I
show
went
Thanos
I
again.
went in there
At least
disappointed.
reference the Infinity Stone.
I still really
Where's the
liked
Infinity
it,
Stone?
but I mean,
So I guess
don't know.
Nova Corps still has
when
the
it was
Infinity
over,
Stone.
I was on a high. Like,
Yeah.
I felt
Yeah.
great when it was over.
I thought
Like,
it
it
was
was a good movie. I was hilarious. I was laughing the whole time. Scenes with Baby Groot were great. Drax was great. I like actually getting to see the relationship between Gamora and Nexus, the both being daughters of Thanos. Right?
That was awesome
That-
when
you know,
Gamora
that-
picked
yeah.
up that big ass gun that was on the ground,
Yeah,
started
yeah.
firing at her ship. That was tight. That was
We got to find out about Quill's dad, right? He's celestial in this movie. He's
Yeah.
not. Let me just say, he's not a celestial in the comics. He's a king of another world, right? But not a celestial.
I
But
don't know.
anyway.
I don't know much about the comics, but I did like how they had the Celestial in there. Because in the first one they went to
Yeah,
that.
they definitely did. But it's cool though. Like, I liked it.
In the first one they went to that severed head of the Celestial, so that kind of brought it back around. It's like a Celestial. Damn, I want to see one. We
Right.
saw one. So,
But he was
I like that
nothing
part.
like that thing.
See,
and I do
Like,
like
he
how
was
they
a
explained how
dude.
that's how he
Couple
held the
people-
Infinity Stone. He was half Celestial. That's how he held it.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say a couple
Get
people that I talked to that complained and disliked the movie was their fact. The reason was because it's straight away from the comic,
Hmm.
and they're like, "Oh, as a result, that's why I don't like it." I was like, "Well,
You gotta let it go.
I don't think most people know.
At this
much about the
point,
comics, though.
now, like, they're so far away from the comics. Like, just if you're still worried about that, let it go.
What'd you guys think about
Like,
the
let it
Golden
go.
people?
Huh?
What'd you think about the Golden people, whoever they were? I don't even.
They were,
I like the Nova
okay.
Corps people better than them in the first movie. Like they tied into the overall
Yeah,
story. and
I'm
helped out
curious
at the
about
end.
where are they, right?
Yeah, like what?
Like, they should have been in this more.
Shouldn't they have helped out? I thought they were going to flip at the end of the movie and be like, okay, well, let's take down Ego because he's going to kill all of us, you know? And I liked how they brought around that flower thing. Remember in the beginning of the movie, you saw that flower planet, and then you're like, oh, well, shit, he's taking over the world. You know what I mean? Like, he went around every world planting this flower thing out because they never referenced back to that till that part of the movie.
I'm gonna need them to reference that thing in
was taking
another
over
in the
Earth.
next movie though,
Mhm.
because that doesn't like that flower thing, like
I thought that was
that
a
big
cool
goo
idea.
thing.
Yeah,
it was
it was.
kind of out of
Cool
nowhere,
idea.
right? Because Quill hasn't been to Earth in like forever. Nobody's been
Yeah.
to Earth. I mean, it
And
makes
they-
sense that they
They haven't been to Earth in both movies, right?
Yeah,
Except for that flashback.
yeah, that's it.
So, yeah, man, I thought it was cool. It looked beautiful, man. That was the best part of the movie. Was
I'm
just the
gonna
way it
need-
looked.
in the
The
next-
effects are always awesome in Marvel movies, man.
What do you think about Pac-Man?
Oh, that was
That was
awesome
cool.
too.
I
Yeah,
thought
that was cool.
I saw it coming.
I saw it coming too.
but I was like, you know what? That's funny. Dude. I
That's
still
good.
laughed. I still laughed.
You know what I
That's
watched
good.
recently? You know, we always compare Marvel to DC. I watched. You ever seen the Injustice movie? You know, the video game Injustice,
Mhm.
where Superman's a bad guy, and I think that's what they're working up towards in the DC movie universe. But I saw Injustice 2 movie, right? And the video game Injustice 2, the cutscene movie. That movie is better than anything that DC has ever done. That's one thing DC does well is their animated movies. Under the Red Hood. They always do their
what'd you
animated
say?
movies
I was
better.
saying.
Their movies are
On YouTube?
Just,
Yeah.
not.
The live movies are not good, but the animated movies, they do those better, like because it's gritty, because it's bloody. You know, I think it's more geared for mature audiences. I think
Yeah.
they're trying to do that in the movies, but it's not landing well. It's not as
Because you
funny.
have these regular human actors.
Yeah,
I guess.
but yeah, I mean, I can't wait for the next installment for Marvel. I know Wonder Woman comes out. That's what I thought about.
That looks pretty good.
That does look awesome.
That's
I'm gonna give it a
pretty
chance. I'm gonna go see it, but
Don't disappoint us, please.
please don't.
Just
You know?
go on with low expectations. You'll be all right.
Yeah, that's it. Well, yeah, guess that's gonna take this out.
Yeah, guys.
Overall, you want to give a score to Guardians of the Galaxy? I give it an 8. Give it an 8 out of 10. I think if I would have gave the first one a 9 out of 10. Let me see. Do I ever have any 10s? Do I have any movies that are 10s?
I'll give it a 9 out of 10.
9.5.
I
give it a 9 out of
I
10.
give it a 9.
Mhm.
That was pretty good.
I give it an 8.
I
give it 8.
You know what? I'm gonna give it an 8.5 because I did see the jokes come in. I did see all that come in. Like in the first one, when I went in there, I wasn't expecting it to be funny. You're right, Juice.
Yeah.
Like when I walked in the second one, I knew it was gonna be funny. So it was
Mhm.
more of like a comedy sketch kind of thing. So 8.5. It's still worth watching though.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely still worth
yeah.
going.
Okay.
Worth watching, but just watch it. As a comedy.
You know what they're converting all these movie theaters to now? Especially Potomac Mills. They're like these luxury seats now, where you can go in there and recline back, you know.
Oh,
the
yeah,
seats
yeah.
Oh, they
go all
did the
way
Potomac
back.
Mills thing?
Yeah, man. I went up there, they were like, yeah, pick your
What?
seat. I was like, pick my seat? What the hell are you talking about? I
I
went
think
to two right there.
I think it's nice.
That's
though.
like
And then
how
he was
most
like-
of the theaters
and then,
are
look,
there.
then he was like $38. $38? What the hell am I picking? I thought I was picking a regular movie. You know,
They
I went in
came
there
for real estate.
The seat leaned back and shit. I was like,
Like, where's my waiter then?
it was nice, but Said, "Hey,
And I'm not tipping.
Yep. So go see it. Go see it, people. It's definitely
Let us
definitely
know
gets
what
a
you
high
guys
score.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Share, subscribe.
Guess that's gonna take us out for the episode 21.
Yeah,
Intelligent
guys.
Idea Talkers podcast.
Thanks for checking us out.
Thank you guys once again. Like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate all the support that people do give. I know I got a couple people on the circle that listen.
We take
when
topic
you coming out with another one?
suggestions.
Yeah. I'll definitely take topic suggestions.
Yep.
I wish we got more. You know?
By the way, I know Cassie listens, so shout out to her.
Hey,
I'm about to go start
son.
commenting under anonymous names so y'all don't know it's me. I'm like, yo, y'all shit sucks. You know, I'm gonna put that shit in the comments.
Yo, I know another listener to commented the other day to me, said that we drink some shitty ass wine.
Hey.
So you know what? If you guys have,
you ain't right.
Hey, we on the mimosas today, though.
Yeah, we stepping it up, yo. So if you have better, suggestions, let us know.
Yeah, drop a comment,
So
like, and subscribe.
I'm curious to see what
Same
good wine
thing.
is out there.
All right, guys.
Have a good one. Peace.
Later.
Peace.